it didn't take. Wow, this is I don't even know. I'm like I'm somewhere right now between like abject joy and like wanting to cry.
It's there.
This is an idea that I've had for a while, but let's actually just start off the show so that this is actually part of the proper show. So, welcome everyone to episode 300 of the Constantly Calibrating Podcast.
300. What the fuck are we doing with our lives?
As always, I am your host, Josh Silverman, joined by my co-hosts, Justin Stanley.
Hey, I'm
We have Brad Coggins.
Hey yo, I'm also drinking.
Returning, has not been on the show in a while, but returning, yes. We have Brian McDaniel returning to the show for the first time in a while.
Since 2015, I think.
Yeah, about 2015 was the last time we did any. I think you took part in a Let's Play we never released.
Probably.
Yeah. It was from Tiny Build, Secret Neighbor.
Yes. Oh, I forgot about that. You're right.
Yeah, we never released it because the game broke so catastrophically that it actually wasn't even funny. Like, it actually was not funny.
For sure.
But what about Frogger?
Still great.
Jesus Christ, Frogger.
That's amazing.
Oh no, that the gameplay where in GTA 5 they were trying to recreate something. I think
it was an Achievement Hunter thing. We were trying to recreate, and the whole idea of it was Frogger. You cross the road, while cars are coming on a highway. Except it didn't work as well as it did for Achievement Hunter when we were trying it. It really didn't work at all. And in the process of Justin and I trying to sort it out, Brad straight fell asleep, and there was just him sleeping against the microphone pretty much.
Beautiful.
He still won't admit to it to this day that he's sleeping. But yeah, it was a thing. But yeah, as also you might see, we have Steven Needham, my co-founder. It's Calibrating here for the first time since 2013.
Holy crap.
Steven and I recorded a Mass Effect Andromeda review that we just never got released because it just had so many audio issues. And I believe it. My technical ability was just not good enough like 2 years ago to make sense of it. Actually, probably could fix it now. Might want to release it as a bonus episode after the fact for like an anniversary, for like a N7 day or something. That might be cool.
Yeah.
Replay the 70+ hour game. And
we could also just do it all over again.
Yeah, right? Just live stream the whole thing.
So we
catheters and all.
Yeah, right?
I finally did go back and listen to the first episode.
Why?
I'm sorry.
You went back and listened to, isn't it just Calibrating Mass Effect 3?
Yeah.
Apology extremely accepted. That sound quality was absolute dog shit.
Brad, because this is, for those not aware, I'm going to show it on two different cameras. This is the microphone that was recorded on for two people. As you can see, it's a nice little piece of technology for those listening to the audio cast. It is a Logitech. There's literally not a serial number on this because this is just the one that just comes with every single computer, pretty much. I think this was like, we figured out, like we looked it up, it was like a $9 mic or something like that.
When it's new.
When it's new.
We're so little, we don't keep track of it.
The wiring is screwed up in here because I remember having to like rip it off and like look into it and stuff like that. So this was what the first 25 episodes, I want to say, because we got this. There's a snowball over there, which is what we got somewhere around episode. It was around the time we started doing the After Who show. Yeah. So that was somewhere around episodes 25-ish.
25. Yeah.
Because I think, because 25 was around when we had Anthony and Ashley Birch on the show. I think. Yeah. And
we'll never get them again.
I don't know if I necessarily want Anthony on the show again, but Ashley said she would come back if her schedule allowed it.
Nice.
It won't because she's one of the biggest voice actors on the fucking planet.
Right.
So I'm saying like somewhere around there was when we upgraded to the snowball, and then
at episode 68, something else like that. That's when I jumped in with the condenser mics.
Yeah, somewhere in the 60s, the 70s, right after the time Steven and I parted ways was when we upgraded to the AT2020s, and I don't know where the tiny mixer is, but that's somewhere in this.
I still use mine to this day.
Same. That's the same one hooked up. That's why I have audio issues.
It's probably why that thing did not last long for me. Mine started dying out of me. I upgraded to this because I had this grand idea in my head. I'm gonna do couch co-op stuff and things of that nature. And then I upgraded the office so that my back was to a wall and I had about this much space. And I'm like, okay, I can't fit another human being back here with me. This was a really dumb idea. The new setup has a couch. We're gonna do couch co-op stuff. So
not
literally
on camera right now.
No, it's not on camera. But people have seen it before. So you might be asking.
Bring it on camera right
now.
Which camera?
No, don't bring it. No, don't. I was lying. I want to see you physically go get the couch and bring it behind there. But
pick up the couch
over the shoulder.
It's an IKEA couch. I mean, I actually could pick that up by myself.
What's
sort
in
of.
your office? What's in your office?
But I mean, fair enough. But it was, it was a furniture moving thing, which is why Ryan's not here with us tonight.
Rip.
Sadly, yeah, he screwed up his back, so he can't be with us on the show tonight, which is really a huge bummer. But Ryan, if you're out there listening to this or watching this at any point, we love you and miss you.
I really want to be on a podcast with you, so one of these days, we're going to do it.
One of these days. I mean, this Constantly Calibrating at this point is with guests plus freeform, so, I mean, that makes sense.
Jazz.
So you might be asking yourself, if you're listening to this or watching this live on mixer.com/ConCalPod, what the hell is this? Yeah, why am I here? What is it? What's going on? What's this plan? Like,
that is the biggest question, though.
We have a plan.
Why are we here?
Essentially,
News to me.
I had this this idea in my head. At the end of last year, right before I decided that we were going to do the hiatus, I started looking at the calendar, and I'm like, okay. Right now, at that point, we were going to hit episode 300 around March. And I started thinking, okay, who can we get as a big guest kind of thing? Because for episode 100, if I remember right, it was episode 100 where I reached out to Miles Luna and Carrie Shawcross and asked if they would just do like a bumper, an intro for us. And it was like one of those things where I said, hey, can you just say, welcome to the 100th episode of ConCal? And they ended up recording like 5 minutes of just insanity, honestly.
I believe it.
It was just the weirdest. Honestly, it was really weird. I think I only used like a very small portion of it because it was ridiculous. And they were very sweet at doing it. So I thought, well, let's do something like that again. Let's get a big guest. I started looking through like, okay, who can we convince, yada, yada, yada. And then I think it was a chat with Justin and I was like, I wonder if Steven would come back. And then I was like, what if we did more than that? And like the idea essentially this boils down to is if we've got every person who actually officially hosted the show. Yeah, we've had a lot of people come on as co-hosts and guest co-hosts and stuff like that. There's a lot of people who've done stuff, but the people who've actually been in charge at one point or another, either coming up with topics or not coming up with topics.
What? No. Or not editing the podcast on time. I don't know who did that.
No, whoever has done that.
Yeah, take over when one of us gets too depressed. I mean, it all happens.
Yeah, like, I mean, people who've either took over the show when, like, Roran was born and I just wandered off into the abyss, or literally, like, there were no shows, all those different things. Anyone who's actually, and then going back to when Steven and I pretty much were just the de facto, we weren't co-hosts, we were the hosts together kind of thing. So
just talking into the void, hoping someone would listen to us one day.
No plan whatsoever, and just like, let's just see where we're going. So like this, so that was the whole idea. And then the linchpin was, let's see if Steven's interested. We went on hiatus. I then just didn't like think about the project again. But then it got to this summer, and Steven and I went to lunch, and I'm like, you want to do this thing? And you very enthusiastically said yes. And then it was like, shit, this is real. So then it was just boiled down to, obviously Justin was in, Brad, Ryan, and Brian all said yes immediately. Yep. We got this whole thing. And the plan for this show is, I just wanted to see if we brought together every person who's been part of the show, what would happen? And that's, there's no real structured plan. I got a few ideas thrown around in my head, but, and I honestly actually kind of been worrying all day today. Like, what would happen? What would happen if I got you guys all here?
Well, it's not just like everybody who's been a part of the show or hosted the show. It's everybody who like being created Constantly Calibrating or had a really significant change on Constantly Calibrating, how we shift stuff around.
I mean, yeah, pretty much. It's the people who are in some way, shape, or form, the brains behind it in whatever capacity. So that's,
Brains might be kind of a stretch there.
Yeah, for me especially.
Well, I mean, just going around, let's just like do a little bit of an intro, because people most recently obviously know Justin and I. Some people might know Brad, but particularly with Brian and Steven, for more of our recent people, the truth is they might not know you, because we have we have some people who are still around from the olden days, but the simple fact,
don't know me.
Some don't know you. Yes, that is true.
Love you, Nebot, if you're still out there.
Yeah. I miss Nebot so much.
I'm still friends with him on Xbox Live.
I'm still friends with him on Xbox Live, and he pops up on Instagram. See, Nebot was Justin, Brian, and I started up a Patreon, and by started up, I mean Brian and I put together all the thoughts. Justin looked over the thoughts. We put it together, this whole Patreon page, and then I hit publish by accident and didn't notice it. And it was up for, you guys remember, it was up for like months, and we just didn't know it was up because we just didn't feel we were at the point to launch a Patreon. But we had messed around with it. And then all of a sudden, I get an email that says, hey, this guy Nebot is donating $25 a month.
Oh, that's a big donation.
That's in Patreon terms, like that's a good chunk. He did that for almost a year.
Wow.
Like he straight up funded Constantly Calibrating for 1 year pretty much. Like for all the hosting stuff.
Yep.
Nebot's an official producer.
Yeah.
I mean, technically speaking, he qualifies as executive producer based on how much expenses it costs. Like legally speaking, he might actually. So Nebot, if you ever listen to this, you need to let me know because as soon as we have merch, actually I'm going to reach out to him, but as soon as we have like official merch again, he just gets free crap.
Yep.
Because which we actually gonna be doing it soon because people spent all PAX West asking me why we don't have merch. Which, speaking of which, I decided to which camera can I be in? I decided to wear the classic Constantly Calibrating shirt. Which turns out it's a large. It doesn't fit me because it's the only one I could find in this size. Because I think I gave away all of my mediums and smalls over the years. Desperation to just get people to wear merch.
I thought you were wearing a large shirt because you just woke up. That's my excuse.
I mean, no, that's the Into the AM shorts that are just like completely way too short and like thing. ConstantlyCalibrating.com/Into the AM I think still works.
Does it?
Yeah, I think offer code ConcoPod still saves you 10% on their merch. They actually have a new line of they just launched World of Warcraft stuff actually. Yeah, I'm being straight up honest. I didn't like any of it. So, sorry, affiliate thing. I just remembered that. So yeah, where the hell were we? So
intros.
So let's just do a little bit of intro stuff. So we're just gonna go around and a little bit about yourself and your history with ConCal. And Stephen, we're starting with you.
Oh, son of a bitch. I have no idea what I'm going to say. Let's see.
You're the best person at vamping I think I've ever met in my life. Well, I assume nothing's changed.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm Steven. I had the idea with Josh to start ConCal. This was 2012. Long time ago. In a galaxy far, far. Actually, it would be in the microverse?
Yeah,
the microverse.
I mean, it was pretty much, I was coming back from people have heard the story enough times, but I was coming out from the event lead up, and I just decided to text Steven. It was March, it was either the very last week of February or like March 1st or something about that. The event was on a Saturday. It was the Sunday before Mass Effect released. And so Mass Effect came out on March 6th.
Yeah.
And I just text him like, you want to start a podcast and talk about Mass Effect 3 once we finished our playthrough? And your response, I think, was something.
Fuck it, I'm in.
I think your response was, fuck it, I'm in. I actually been thinking about asking you if you wanted to start like some kind of podcasty kind of thing or a video or something like.
Yeah.
That was like the basic idea.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of different directions I could take this conversation right now.
Oh, we could go directions.
Yeah. So
yeah, it's so essentially, you did the show with me for about a year before we had a falling out, and roughly a year, and I want to say somewhere around 50-ish episodes.
Yeah,
we did 50 episodes of this, and then we did about a dozen of After Who. Something thereabouts, which those don't know, we did an after in the days before after shows being a thing. I think the Talking Dead was literally the only thing. We started After Who, and literally to this day I still have afterwho.com. GoDaddy informed me this morning that it expires in 2 weeks.
Nice.
And I'm not.
Are you gonna renew it? Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Just hang on.
BBC
to that.
America did reach out to me once about it.
Oh yeah.
They said,
that's why you reach out to them right now.
Yeah, sell it back. Hold it for ransom.
I don't think they do anything like related to that anymore. I think that was back when
it doesn't matter. Dr. Who's at an all-time high right now. You got to hit it really? With, strike with iron sight. Probably, I don't know.
I haven't watched Who in so long.
And it's not in any way, shape, or form related to Chris. What's his name?
I was going to say he who shall not be named. Yeah, but that's actually a good reason. Anyways, but yeah, so we did that for a while, and yeah.
And then life happened.
We parted ways, and ConCal took like all these sort of different paths. But like, so let me talk to you before we go move on to the next intro. My favorite thing that we ever did was, I think it was you who said to me, "Hey, Rooster Teeth is doing their RTX thing again. Should we go?" I think it was something to that effect. It was something like roughly to that effect. And I'm like, what do you mean, should we go? And I'm like,
well, we're going to try this media thing. Let's actually take a bite.
And the story I was telling people, the truth is, I didn't know what the fuck media meant. And we just decided, we were like, you and I were just scrolling through their website together, and they said media registration. And we're like, okay.
The secret press pass entrance.
There's nothing.
All the hoops we had to jump through to get in.
So many.
There's nothing listed. There's no information listed. I guess we'll just apply. I don't remember if it was a form or if it was an email or.
If it sounds like it's just like Josh entering any contest to hopefully win an Xbox or something.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yes. Very similar. Yes. That sounds about right. But yeah, we applied for media, and it was like, I think 24 hours later, roughly, we get an email from Fonz PR stating, "Hi, you've got a media pass for 3 people. Would you like to have Bernie Burns and or Matt Hullum on your podcast?"
We're like, yes, please.
I think we were 6 weeks into the show. Neither one of us had really ever interviewed someone, and we're like, okay.
Yeah.
That sounds horrifyingly terrifying. And yeah, we ended up having Matt Hullum on the podcast.
A huge part of that, though, for me, was just like, oh my god, I can like fangirl out in front of all these people that I've idolized for the past.
And that became that event for us. Mm-hmm. And what always holds a special part for me is that's like literally when I discovered, oh, I'm not this like introvert. I actually like people, and like, oh, this could be something way more than I thought it was. My journey to being like doing PR stuff is literally comes from talking to Brad Johnson, at the head of PR for, without head of PR, but the head of the PR for the event. And him just like saying some stuff and realizing, oh, I could do stuff like this.
I remember him.
He's a sweet person.
He's fantastic.
He every now and again texts Justin to congratulate him when I win at HQ Trivia. Because the ridiculousness of he doesn't know who has the bear punch name. We literally did a whole podcast about that. But so that's essentially just a brief origin, as it were, of that. Brian, how about yourself?
Oh god. So funnily enough, started around the same time.
Yep.
Because Steven was the barista in the coffee shop at the college building that I was in all the time. And he would, when they did the first few episodes, he would just play them over the PA. And I was like, oh, this banter's fun. These guys are great.
I did not know that happened.
Yeah. And
hey, I had a captive audience. I'm going to take full advantage of that shit.
Yeah, you just had me and Caitlin, and we were just like chilling there.
Yeah. Hey, closing.
Yeah.
No one else around.
No. And it was great. It was fun. I was like, I love these guys. I'm gonna be their first fan. And so like I think I was like the first very vocal fan.
Most definitely. Yeah.
I mean, I've been doing this for 7.5 years, and I'm trying to think of another vocal fan. So, no, that's not fair. We've had a bunch, but like you were the first actual person who wasn't just like on Facebook, like a like or like a good job or some, which we love everything we get, but it wasn't like the first like quasi generic kind of comment. It was like, hey, I have some thoughts on what Steven said, or hey, I have some thoughts on what Josh said, or you're the first person I think to call me an idiot. Who was
actual
one of our listeners.
Feedback as opposed to just, someone
Let's
saying,
be real. He can't be the first person to call you an idiot.
I said it, the first fan of the podcast to call me an idiot. No, you know Charnel. You know my wife.
I think that's part of the vows. Clearly, he's not a fan of the podcast. So,
I still to this day, 7.5 years, wonder if Charnel's a fan of the podcast. podcast? I still don't know. I've never been able to get a clear answer on that, but she's let me do it for 7.5 years and waste our money on it. So.
More so than she used to, for sure. Yeah. I feel like it's more of, and especially with how you guys have grown it, it's definitely come around to like the fact that when you guys were at PAX, she was, like, wow, you're really good at this PR stuff. Like it and you guys are like, have come into your own within that. So I think it's been cool to see that as well.
She's into it in the career that I could get out of it, but not necessarily the future of this as a brand, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, Sharna loves it and supports it. I'm not. Yeah. I love talking shit about her at the show because she never listens to it. But so you went from the guy in the coffee shop listening to it
to pretty much worming my way into what was the first thing I started talking about the website, and then I did the logo.
You pitched making a logo to me, and we ended up having. I'd never met you. Steven had mentioned you a bunch of times, and you had like either DM'd me or emailed me. I don't remember exactly. And to be honest, I was just like still in introvert mode where I didn't want to talk to people. So I was like, Steven, handle this guy kind of thing. I'm uncomfortable. And then you just ended up like I think you sent me like a very small snippet of art stuff, and I was like, okay, our logo is this, which is, I think, is the agency font or something like that.
Something like that. And then the little thing on the back.
Yeah, and then, it was just, this was the original thing, and then you said, I have an idea, and you pitched this diamond thing, which, if you're watching the channel, it's literally all the little diamonds you see in the background. We went out to Saks sandwiches for lunch. And
I remember that.
Yeah.
And there was the blue one before that, actually.
What, Brad?
There was the blue one before that one on your shirt, too.
Yeah. So, okay, there was the original blue one, which was still a variation of this. And then there were Charnel's chibis that she made for us. Because for those don't know, I'm making fun of my wife, but she was the original art director of Constantly Calibrating. I still have her like business cards somewhere in this pile, probably. Which
I have about 50 of them in my laptop bag.
Still do this.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That is the place for them, though.
Yeah, right? I mean, it hasn't left my bedroom in 4 years, but
you got them.
Which is funny because I moved in the house that I have like 2 years ago. So
raises further question. Yeah. But yeah.
And then from that point, just started kind of adding on more and more. And then somewhere right before the 100th episode, I was like, hey, I love you guys, but your audio sounds like shit. And so
accurate.
I forced you guys to get I tried to find cheap shit, but it was still good, cheap, and then made everybody record how we're doing right now, so that way it sounded more cohesive.
Well, I mean, the original we were doing ConCal when it was just Steve and I. Again, we were using the crappy mic, and then we were using the snowball, and it just consisted of. I mean, even when Brad joined, there was no audio sync logic behind it. Like we tried to mimic essentially everything for Constantly Calibrating up until about. Justin, I don't know what you want to say, like the 3.5 to 4 year mark, was all, this is how Rooster Teeth does it. Ergo, we should do it this way. I mean, that was literally how everything.
Yeah, because that's roughly when I came in, I was like a student of Achievement Hunter. Just sucking in everything and like looking at the video to back, like, what are they using, man? That looks good. It works for them. And we kind of just built off of that.
I'm going to be straight up here. This mixer I have here,
I use that burn-in so well.
This mixer I have here is I have because I typed into Google, what mixer does Achievement Hunter use? Well, because specifically I wanted a mixer that could record if we had multiple people sitting around here. It wouldn't record on one track like we have right now. I could actually have individual tracks. It doesn't actually do that. But I'd already bought it and installed it and had it for a month before I figured it's like, I think there's some extra software I can use, but I've never been able to figure out how to get it going.
And then, from that point, I was, so from 2013, I guess, to 2015, I was either co-hosting or I led a few episodes, and then I was an audio editor between you and I and Justin for a while there. So
Yeah, it was between the three of us. Yeah, you hosted a few episodes here and there, and also, you were the person who was like, you guys literally just turn on a microphone every week. And some episodes will literally just have 5 minutes of you guys trying to actually figure out what the fuck you're talking about. Why not make a document that everyone can add to and actually have a plan? And Yeah, that about 2 years after you told me that, we started doing it.
and it's been fun for me to see how you guys have kept and changed some things. Like, I look at the graphics and how you're doing them, and like I see the bits and pieces of like the things that I used to do for the graphics, and I'm like, I love that you guys have grown to where you're at right now. So it's been so much fun to watch.
Well, it went from where I asked Charnel to make every single thumbnail for every single podcast episode. We would ask her every single week, here's our ideas, go do it. Yeah. And Garrus, bless her, that woman did everything we asked. There's some amazing thumbnails that she put together. And then she stopped, and then I started half-assing them for a very short while because I didn't know any Photoshop. Then Brian started doing them for a while.
Yep.
And went through like 4 different phases. And then I started doing them pretty much just copying what Brian did. And now I actually know how to do graphic design, scarily enough. And
yeah, you never asked me to do it. I could do like a knockoff XKCD just without any jokes.
Hell yeah.
I mean, that would have been a good idea to do it.
Yeah, be like, here's a stick figure falling off a building.
Well, it's never been my strong suit of constantly calibrating, actually checking people's skill sets and actually following through on it.
Thank God.
Yeah.
I grew into it, but goddamn.
You are. Holy shit, you're out. No, but I mean, like, that's never been my strong suit. It's never my strong suit. Plus, when you and I were doing stuff, Steven, I never knew who the hell was in charge. So it was,
I still don't.
We yeah, no, fair enough. We never knew who the hell was in charge and what was doing stuff, and we just sat around like, a lot of time. But we had a degree of forward momentum, and we were enjoying it, so we kept going.
Yeah.
Brad,
and that's the only thing we had a degree in.
Oh fuck,
okay. Brad, a little bit of history about your origin story, since you were co-host number 1, essentially.
I was co-host number 1. I was I guest 1 or 2? Was I before or after Rachel? I forget.
I think the guest order, because we booked Matt Hullum, but then we booked him almost a whole month out.
Yeah.
I think Rachel Moore was the first guest, I want to say, and then Brad was the second guest, and
that
then
sounds
Matt.
right. Yeah.
I think that's the order.
Is episode 7, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Either way, it was either you then Rachel or Rachel then you. I can't remember that. No matter what, you were either guest 1 or guest 2. I don't remember exactly.
And after that, I kind of I think I bugged you for every week until you're like, fine, you can join.
I mean, we had a good time with you. We had fun talking to you. And then it was just like, yeah, Brad can join the show. Why not? We can figure stuff out. And maybe you're on every episode, maybe you're not on every episode. And we'll figure out exactly like how that dynamic's going to work. Because, again, I had it in my head that we were going to be the next Rooster Teeth. And Rooster Teeth had more than 2 people. I didn't really look at what we had and necessarily think to myself, well, we can certainly be a podcast of 2. It just never occurred to me. I was like, no, we're gonna be a Rooster Teeth podcast. We're gonna be, that kind of thing, and fuck everything else kind of mentality. Which worked out in the end. But we brought you on as a co-host, and yeah. Then, after Steve and I parted ways, you ended up being my de facto co-host for a very long time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I dealt with what would we say? Is Mopey Josh? Is that proper for that time period?
Let's see. That, Mopey was definitely an accurate thing. Yeah, no, I think Mopey Josh was that incarnation. That was a good year of the podcast where I was just a mopey, miserable bastard. Really fucking depressed about things, but also I like the Constantly Calibrating brand, and that was around the time Brian started talking to Lucas about the intro music, which is you have to thank Brian for talking to a friend of his, Lucas, to get us all his intro music, who literally the guy's never got back in contact with us ever again, and never been able to really contact him about getting it done again. But here's the fun story about Concal I never talk about. The only reason for in 3 different incarnations, when Steve and I parted ways, when I got really depressed a couple years later, and then I don't know, maybe a year or so ago, when I was feeling down about things, the only reason I didn't shut down the podcast is I like the intro music. And I still want to be able to use it, and I'm worried people find it synonymous with the podcast. They don't. But people find it synonymous, and maybe now they do, but people find it synonymous and then I can't reuse it in some way. It was like the dumbest, like most childish reason.
Hey,
but
whatever works.
Well, no, you hold onto your anchor to keep you moving forward, whatever the hell it might be.
Yep.
But, in retrospect, I think I liked it because of working at GameStop at the time.
Sure.
And then like when I quit, it was my outlet to still get that I want to talk to people about games interaction. And that's, I mean, we've never strictly been a gaming podcast, but
we dabbled in it for a while there.
We're very close.
Yeah. It's like general nerdery and then also much gaming.
Yeah, no, that's actually pretty. I mean, the way I always described it to people in the old days was in the old days and even still now, kind of, we are a pop culture centric podcast with a gaming lean. Is kind of how I've always described it, and then the new incarnation is a pop culture.
I was leaning.
Yeah,
yeah.
I got it.
Yeah, a pop culture centric podcast with a gaming lean. Oh, sorry, interview focused podcast, pop culture centric podcast with a gaming lean. That's how I very drunkenly described it when I was at PAX West. Yeah, put me in the Sheridan bar with a bunch of drinks and a bunch of people in the game industry, and I come up with some stories about ConCal.
Hey, no,
we just make shit up.
Since I'm not there, you have to do it, or Justin.
Well, that's okay. Before we continue, I want more of your intro, Brad. I got a question for you related to that, but first, no, that was the thing with Brian. Brian was so he was our art director after Charnel. But his like subtitle was like the Dance Master or something like that.
Oh god, yeah, it was the Rocket Jump.
Yeah, it was Rocket Jump guys. Yeah, but you were like the Dance Master marketing guru or some shit like that because we totally legitimately got ourselves into the industry party for RTX 2015.
Yep.
Thank you, Pony Studios.
Love you guys.
Yep. Who don't exist? Pony Studios does not exist anymore, but
Rip.
Oh no, they're actually monstrously successful. They're making they are operating out of San Francisco, making an AI based shopping thing, and they are like stupidly successful at it.
Well, yeah, most of them like they were in the finance industry anyways.
They were genius level like tech people who made a really kind of dumb game that they got.
They knew what it was.
I know they knew what it was. But we went to the industry party and Brian got into a dance off with the guys from Rocket Jump. On the middle of a bar room floor. That
was also the second time that day that me and Jeff were wearing the same shirt.
Yes, 2 days in a row, you and Jeff Ramsey were wearing the same shirt.
Because we both bought from the same company, and then Rooster Teeth's like, oh, we don't want him to buy from this company, so they made a bunch of their shirts to look like the stuff from that company.
Yeah, they essentially made the Jeff line.
Yeah.
The Jeff line, which was clearly because they literally looked at what Jeff was wearing every day and were like, we can make that shit. But yeah, so, but for the long time, again, even though I got somewhat over my introvertedness, I still deferred to Brian with going to talk to people. But then after Brian kind of went off and we stopped really working together, it was like, well, Justin and I are still going to these events. One of us has to be the extrovert talking to people. And I just like, I guess I could figure out how to talk to people. And yeah, turns out when I have a couple of drinks, I can very clearly talk to people.
You like to walk around the room and hold hands and hold glasses and smile.
Well, I turned it in. Yeah, kind of. I turned it into I turned it into the style how I do interviews. I do interviews in a style which is just. I do interviews the same way that Steven and I originally did the podcast, which was two friends talking. I just treat everyone like a friend and I just talk to them.
Yep.
That's kind of the whole basis of how I do everything. So I just turned every interaction at an event into that. And holy shit, talking to people like human beings and like just treating them like normal people. Wow. It works wonders. Though if you ever meet me at an event, I'm probably having an anxiety attack while I'm shaking your hand. But
so then not much has changed on that front.
No. Oh God, no. Yeah. But they're also probably having an anxiety attack. We're in the game industry. Every person is an introvert who's terrified of human contact.
Yes. But back to Brad.
Unless if you're like playing Fortnite or something, then you could say fuck your mom and all that shit.
Well, you could say all that. I mean, that gamers rise up and all. Yeah. But gamer culture, But I mean, that's a different thing. By the way, for anyone who is in the live chat, if you're here, feel free to ask any questions, interject, interrupt. I know we're having just a conversation around, but you are more than welcome to ask questions at any time. and I will probably answer them.
And if he doesn't, I will.
And Brian will answer these. So, Brad, so yeah, it became you and I doing the hosting and stuff like that. And then eventually at one point I had you take over hosting because I was so despondent.
Yeah.
And you were the host for Constantly Calibrating for
probably about a year and a half.
I think it was, it was probably closer to the 2-year mark. You were the de facto host of Constantly Calibrating. And we talked before about the fact that the switch back on that was not handled remotely well. but yeah, I was in a dark place.
Stalls it.
The habits stalls it all. No, but yeah, you were our leader for a while there, running the show and keeping people on track.
I really don't feel like I was.
Oh no,
Our show had structure for once.
I mean, the show had, during your era of hosting, the show had more structure than it had beforehand, and more than it had for at least a year after. It didn't really regain structure until I think the last year-ish. It blows my mind still to think about. Like, if you've watched the show recently, you've seen me every intro be like, you know, welcome to the Constantly Calibrating Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Silverman, on episode 209. Oh shit, we're doing that episode, like, kind of thing. And that's kind of like been the last year. Mm-hmm. The shocking realization that's the same thing where someone's like, well, how long have you been hosting for and doing stuff? I'm like, oh, not that long, 7.5 years. Yeah. And people just look at me like,
almost a decade. It's fine.
Almost a decade. Because I don't think of it in those terms. I still don't think of doing this thing. And to me, it is still sitting around the fucking computer with my best friends. Like, that's how it's always been. Yeah. We do some crazy shit, but that's how it's always been, more or less. And it literally just occurred to me 45 fucking minutes in that I forgot to use the intro at the beginning of the episode.
But you know, it'll be great for like the YouTube video, like, because it's going to be on there anyway.
Yeah. I'll add it to the actual proper intro for the
Right here, not at the beginning.
Yeah,
right
just
here.
cut it in 45.
I can literally just screw up the video and just drag it over.
Show of hands, yeah. It's unanimous. No.
Well, I debuted essentially a version of it at the end of episode 299. Who saw the live show? That's going out edited like on Thursday or something like that. I debuted it, but yeah. So I'll throw that up in the outro for this episode.
Hell yeah.
So yeah. It's amazing. We're 45 minutes in. We're still doing intros. Justin. We did an episode with just the two of us, but just in case people haven't heard that, just a very brief. Who the hell are you, doing with this show?
Oh man, my name is Justin. I think Steven and Brian are learning I became an alcoholic. Not true, but I'm just happy to be drinking on this one and the last one, maybe the one before that. But yeah, hi, yeah, what's up? So yeah, as most of these stories begin and end, I had a falling out with Josh.
What a general theme then.
Look, pre-30 years old, I was not. I've talked about this. I was not a nice person. I did not know how to handle friendships, and it's
just a Josh friend support group.
In retrospect, the only reason I'm still around is I'm the only one who won't piss him off enough to go that far.
Really close at times.
Yeah, I know. I see the line, and I stop because I don't want to go off for 2 years.
But
we both crossed that line with Brad before, though. Almost.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
With the bonanza that won't be named.
Oh my god, that's amazing. Oh my god.
Man.
But what I was just before you get into it, Justin, just like on that topic, Cutright, who helps us with social media sometimes, Jordan mentioned to me, I don't know, January, February, but when I was still trying to think of ideas, he's like, it'd be really fun if we like rented out a place and did a roast of you towards me, and I'm like,
wait. Don't we do that every week?
And then I'm like, isn't that kind of technically all interactions with friends pretty much at this point? Because anyone who's known me longer than like 2 years is just, that's actually bullshit. No, I mean, Aiden Strawhan literally on the last episode roasted me in the middle of the episode. I've only done 2 podcasts with her ever and known her less than a year.
Nice.
I'll bring David Jaffe in for that one.
Yeah, David Jaffe, creator of Twisted Metal and God of War, destroyed me on a podcast. Absolutely fucking destroyed me on a podcast.
Forgot about that one.
That was not a good show.
Yeah, it was.
It was a great show.
From my perspective.
It was an okay show.
As you see, it was a great show from a different point of view. I was unfortunately coming out of a rough breakup, and oddly started talking to Josh again about wrestling of all things. Because
Royal Rumble brought us back together.
Royal Rumble brought us back together. And yeah, we tried to do Armbar started first, right?
I'm trying to think. I think
before I became a regular, I guess.
Yeah, because I made the logo for that one, and I still have that bopping around in my computer somewhere.
You made the logo for Armbar and for Issue 0. No, so okay. Just for Justin's, I think I talked about this on the other podcast with Justin specifically a little bit, but Steven and I did talk about originally, like, maybe we do want to have a third person before even Brad kind of thing. And we're like, well, what if Justin did it with us? And I was like, Justin literally will not speak to me right now, and I don't know why. Because we had dabbled with the idea of it would be fun to do 3-man, like, let's play kind of content in the very early days of that, right? Like,
yeah, that makes true.
And then, Justin and I just weren't communicating, so that just got thrown by the wayside. But I think
you only know part of the reason.
But I think ultimately you came back.
Again, on the record, Jared Petty called you an awful person.
Jared Petty has called me an awful person. That is
the sweetest man in the world has called you an awful person. So to just stay for a little bit longer.
Was that on the Constantly Calibrating podcast, or was that on our episode of the
podcast that? Yeah, we probably won't see. But
yeah. Jared
I can't remember which.
To
be clear, we recorded them back to back, so that's why I can't remember which.
I don't remember which it is, and my editing, I edited that episode with Jared Petty almost a whole year ago, so I don't quite remember. But yeah, we recorded ours, and then I don't think we ever talked about the podcast, but we did a pocket full of soups with him afterwards, and then he got hired by Google Stadia like a month later, and he just stopped. He had to stop his content creation. So I always mean to ask him if our episode with him is still like sitting on his laptop somewhere.
I don't want to, because I don't want him to feel bad about it.
Yeah, that's why I won't ask him. That's literally the entire reason I won't. But so you came on, Justin, I want to say to do the Let's Play stuff, and then Armbar came right afterwards. Armbar only lasted 3-4 episodes.
Yeah.
I want to say it was like 3 episodes, and then a whole year later we did an April Fool's joke, which I thought was the funniest thing in the world, but I could not convince Mike or John to do, and they just did the most half-hearted thing for my idea. This is dumb idea.
At that time, I was at a job where I worked mostly like help desk support, and 70% of my problems can be solved remotely. So yeah, I watched a lot of YouTube at the time. Definitely like we'll always have to give it a nod to Achievement Hunter Rooster Teeth.
Yep.
No matter what, because like they definitely inspired us to start like the kickstart that video thing, and kind of helped shape us at the start. And for some might say, Brad, I'm gonna say that's the thing where Brad's like, y'all are doing too much crap like Rooster Teeth. I'm like, shut up.
Brad was the first person to call us on that shit.
Out
Maybe Senpai will notice us. God, Baka.
Well, I think there was a point about 2-3 years in where I felt, maybe about 3 years in, because it was when Justin was around, where I kind of felt hopeless about Constantly Calibrating. Because at that point, nobody was listening whatsoever. We had no listeners, no viewers, no nothing. We hadn't, we were, let me think actually. So it would have been like 2 years in, because we were just about to go to RTX 2014. And nobody was listening, nobody was watching. We had no traction with anything. And I'm just like, honestly, at this point, I just want to do this so that Justin, Brian, and myself and Brad can get jobs at like Rooster Teeth or Achievement Hunter or some shit like that. That's literally what it just became.
Yeah,
until we went to RTX. And which is funny, because then it kind of turned into somewhere around the 5-6 year mark. Let's just do this to get jobs. It's kind of funny. Because we emulated one company and then we kind of emulated another. And I think in the last year and a half, it's terrifying to say only in the last year and a half, but kind of started really making our own true path of things, as it were.
Yeah, it took us that long to find our own voice. I mean, we all have our
voices
we went through. Well, mostly we're both all bouncing up and down, going crazy. And I don't know if that was an outlet to like, oh man, these people are having fun. I like to do this. Let's do it just like them. But yeah, that's kind of what I came in. We started doing the idea of starting a YouTube channel, start doing gameplay stuff. We started with very humble stuff. Dying Light company. At first, we started with just Microsoft Movie Maker. I forget how we captured the footage.
Well, Microsoft Movie Maker was the start point.
Registered HyperCam?
No, it got it. Yeah, I did.
So, Movie Maker was the start point because Steven and I did RTX 2012, came back from the event, and both were like, do you know how to edit video? kind of thing.
Yep.
We literally because the whole story of RTX 2012 is that we got the media pass, kind of panicked, like, oh shit, what does this actually mean? Talked to Charnel, we're like, you know photography, Wow, that was some loud static just came through somewhere.
Yeah.
Justin's mic or earphones?
Something just
I just got flashbacks to editing all of this.
But so we decided to just pick up so we just talked to Charnel. She does photography. Hey, do you know anything about cameras? My wonderful wife, wanted to get back into photography at that point. She absolutely fucking exploited the fact that she's on the RTX with us. Like, hey, I got a camera. I want to buy this camera for the event. Just don't ask me any questions. And I'm like, if you think it's going to be good for video, I don't know enough about this. Go buy a camera. Go buy us like some lapel mics or something like that.
Yeah.
Go do it. Charnel
Okay.
bought a almost $5,000 camera.
But it's real good.
That's the camera I have been using. If you see me with that Canon, that is the same camera because I will use that camera till the day I die to make that thing worth the money that we spent on. Remember when I didn't have kids and I had disposable income for ConCal?
What's disposable income?
God, I want to place that camera so bad.
Remember when I had a good relationship with my dad and could just ask for money?
That's a whole nother
Yikes.
therapy session.
That's a whole.
We gotta get into.
That's all podcasting is a therapy session.
You're not
But
wrong.
yeah. So we asked her. She picked up a camera. We picked up lapel mics. The very first day of the event, I broke the tripod that we borrowed from her brother. Yep. Still have that to this day. Have never told him we broke it. It's in the garage that we broke the plate of it. Which then started a trend where at almost every RTX from that point forward, someone lost the plate. I lost the plate of Brian lost the one.
Yep.
I lost it at RTX last year.
Okay, good. I'm glad
I
somebody
lost
did.
it in the same spot you did, almost exactly on the show floor. And it was when I realized it. No, literally, I was going to the draw fee interview, and I realized it's gone. Ryan had to spend the entire interview like balancing it on his stomach,
So funny.
It was the funniest
It's the
shit.
best thing.
It's one of the best looking interviews we've ever done, ever.
Nice.
Because it's free cam. It's not like, and he actually, unlike me, isn't a jittery motherfucker, so he actually was able to hold it.
Okay, so it is less Cloverfield and more like okay, cool.
But the funny thing is, it was really stable for what he was doing, and he was able to focus. But so we asked Charnel to pick up a camera, come with us to that event, not knowing anything about it. So we recorded all these interviews.
It turns out that video editing is not the same as photography.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, she didn't know anything about that. So we get back from the event, and the videos we have is so what we did during that event was an interview with Gus Cirola.
Yep.
We did an interview with Bernie Burns.
Yeah.
You did one with Chris Damaris with Grace Helbig.
Yeah.
Grace Helbig, right as she was blowing up at that.
Yeah.
And then I think that was it for the interviews. And then we did a video where Charnel decided to randomly pull out her camera and film Michael Jones jumping up on the table and impersonating Gavin, which to this day, on the original old Silverham Media, because that was Stephen and my idea we came up with. I think that still
love that
exists. It's a great name. If that still exists somewhere on YouTube, I don't know anymore, but we have that original video reached in one day reached 250,000 views and topped out before we closed down the channel at 700,000 views, which means it has more views than every single youtube.com/ConCalPod video combined.
Fuck.
We've probably been taken down for copyright infringement.
I don't know. I have literally no way to access
Probably.
Yeah.
The channel exists.
Does it really?
Yeah, but it's just named closed down.
Is it just named closed?
Yeah, but it has the old constantly calibrating controller art.
Yep. Oh god, the controller art that Charnel made. I forgot about that logo at one point.
Yep.
That's still. I love the stuff Brian made, and I love the stuff Brian had commissioned, which is the logo that Justin's wearing. I love that with all my heart. But the controller Charnel made was great.
Real good.
My favorite thing still about that is I worked for a really shitty site called GNN for a while. I wrote a review. Of you just linked it nice. I wrote a review of God of War Ascension, a PlayStation game, and some person decided to just attack me for like 6 straight weeks on Twitter because you gave it a 3.5, such a shitty review of a game. And you gave it a 3.5, such a shitty review of a game, and you're obviously an Xbox fanboy because the controller in your logo is an Xbox controller, and it's like it's really not.
Yeah.
It's like actually like not. It's not any controller at all.
Also, how much of a life did they not have that A, they were already on that website, and then B, on GNN, and then 2, that they had to respond and harass you.
From what I vaguely remember, this was like 2014-ish, 2013-ish.
13, 14-ish was in that in between.
It was like late 2013 because started the GNN thing with Steven was around, and then left GNN by the beginning of 2014 when I realized how big a mistake that was. But I know from what I remember, I researched the guy. Like I looked through the guy's tweets.
Mm-hmm.
He was just ripping into anyone who gave God of War lower than a 4.5. It was not a good game. It wasn't bad, but it was so broken of a game.
If only we knew back then that fanboys were going to get worse and worse.
I'm gonna do it again. Gamers rise up.
Oh God.
Number 2.
Number 2 for the night. So yeah. How do we get on that?
Because we were starting with finishing up Justin's intro, and then just kind of into how I guess the tech is kind of. So
anyways, so we did Windows. So short version, we did Windows Media Maker, and then somewhere along the lines, I just decided to look into Adobe. Yep. I don't really remember exactly when.
No. There's an in between there.
Nero.
Right.
There you go.
Nero.
About that shit.
Oh shit! I forgot about Nero. I totally forgot. Oh my god, that was
blacked it out of your memory.
Nero was fine. It was not good,
No.
but it was fine.
It was a good starting point.
It was a good learn how to edit shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh man, Adobe student pricing again, disposable income at the time. We're like, yeah, it's a great idea.
You paid for that? I have like a bunch of licenses if you want like another copy of Adobe. I mean,
mine finally ran out, and as long as they're not charging me anymore, then I'll take that from you.
My Adobe currently is I'm using my cousin Akiva's student email, despite the fact he hasn't been a student in like 4 years, to get me the entire suite for like $19 a month.
Oh, nice.
Which is a great price for the entire suite of Adobe. It's an amazing, it's like 130 or something like that. I have no idea how long that's going to last because I bitch about Adobe all the fucking time on Twitter. So eventually they're going to somehow, maybe theoretically I'll get well known enough that they're going to catch on.
No, they're making enough money from poor bastards doing graphic design. They'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, also, I'm not the only one complaining about Adobe because Premiere sucks.
Yeah.
It crashes so badly all the time.
Yeah, but not even people who use Final Cut or go to Premiere. Like, it... Adobe, I mean, you could do better. You could be more intuitive. You could...
They won't.
Just do shit that makes sense.
What's the thing that Sony used to have? Who has that?
Vega.
Yep.
Vegas. Vegas or Vega?
Vegas.
It's Vega.
Vegas.
Vega is
the TV.
the third.
We're still not
Mass
confirming.
Oh, I was thinking Street Fighter.
Vega. No,
I'm in a look. Freddie Prinze Jr. tweeted at me this weekend.
It is Vegas.
Oh,
To be fair, it was because a guy I follow said, I didn't know that Freddie Prinze Jr. had a cookbook. And I responded that, Charnel bought me that for like Valentine's Day or something a couple of years ago.
Aww.
And I said, how was a great cookbook? What I didn't mention is the time Charnel and I went to the hospital for salmonella poisoning was because I cooked the recipe out of... It wasn't actually the recipe's fault. It's because I have a crippling fear of uncooked poultry. And I washed my hands...
You just don't cook it at all?
No, I washed my hands 43 times and ended up cross-contaminating while I was washing my hands. I'm not that scared of poultry anymore, but
I'm glad.
But I gave us really bad salmonella poisoning, and we literally had to have Charnel's mom drive over here at like 9 o'clock at night, watch Roar, and go to the emergency room where we were there till 7 a.m. We've only been there till 3. Well, so we've only been there till 3 a.m. But Charnel's a woman, so they didn't believe any of her symptoms.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
No,
seriously. They treated me immediately for the exact identical symptoms. I just bitched about this on Twitter like a week ago, so it's what's fresh in my mind.
Why, they just don't believe her, or they think she's pregnant, or what?
No.
It's really common
for women. For women, they have to. So the symptoms of salmonella poisoning are all stomach related things. So women are required to go through the full rigmarole of pregnancy tests before they can get stuff, even though her symptoms are identical. It's just the medical system, even though they have a clear line of things, two people from the same house with the exact same symptoms. It's the wonders of this world we live in. Remember when the show had a rule we don't talk about real world stuff?
And the only thing I can say about that, if you're of the Silverman household, don't have a chicken. That's just
Don't
Yeah,
have it if
that's
I
true.
cook it. I don't cook chicken anymore. I don't cook poultry anymore. I cook pork, which is really funny because I'm Jewish. I cook eggs. I could beat you to it, Brad.
I was gonna say.
I cook. Funny thing, Justin pitched me an idea of a show called Jew Hack earlier today. So, and by idea, I mean we didn't have an idea; it was just a name. Yeah. So we, yes, no, I cook like pork and stuff like that. I really don't fuck with poultry at all anymore. I know I'm bad at it. No, if Charnel cooks, you better fucking eat the chicken because it's gonna be an amazing goddamn dish.
Amen. I've never not had good food that Charnel has made. I think I said that right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It was essentially double negative. You've always had good food.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what it boiled down to.
Never had her food. Sad face.
You've never met my wife in person, so
That's
I've never met Brad in person. I feel sad.
Ish.
I mean, she doesn't come literally. PAX West 3 weeks ago was the first event she has been to, not including Phoenix Comic Con, because who would include that? Since RTX 2012, she has not been to an event in any capacity. She went to PAX West, which mostly consisted of her sitting in the hotel room watching Korean dramas, which she still states is the best. Well, here's the best part: is we went with another mixer partner, Sithos, buddy of ours. He shared the room with us, and he forgot to go to an appointment because he just ended up watching Korean dramas with her.
Awesome.
And then Justin at one point got distracted watching Korean. I think pretty much at one point I went to a party by myself because everyone was watching Korean dramas. And
it's like the extra life we did, and everybody was just watching British Bake Off.
Was that the last Extra Life we did when the one that Jordan helped us? Yeah. Where everyone ended up watching British Bake Off because Charnel puts it on. And it got to the point we had like 20 people in the house and 18 of them are watching British Bake Off and only 2 of them are actually participating in this big charity thing because Charnel put it on and she's the most charismatic fucking human being on the face of this earth. I mean that with sincerity. She is the most charismatic person I've ever met. She'd be great.
Yeah, as we learn, a much better PR person than either of us.
Yes. Oh yeah, no, that was actually the best thing about PAX West is I took her to an indie gaming showcase event. She wandered off while I was getting I think I was getting myself a drink or something like that. I had an open bar. And I go back over and she just hands me like 4 business cards. She's like, "Hey, these people put you on their press list." And there's one person who I've literally been trying to get on their press list for like 2 years. And it's like I'm away from her for 8 minutes and suddenly like she made more connections than I have ever made.
Does that mean you should drink more?
Drink more, drink less, bring my wife to more events. She actually wants to start doing art stuff for streaming now.
Hell yeah.
She actually she pitched me a whole marketing plan earlier today. So she wants to go to events moving forward. So Brad, if you come to an event again, you will meet Charnel.
Well, I kind of have something I want to pitch.
I mean, want to pitch it off camera?
Or
I mean, I don't care if it's on or off. I want to see I want to see if we can go to GCX this summer.
GCX.
It used to be Guardian Con, but they're moving to a full gaming event.
Okay. Yeah, Guardian Con's been on my radar for a long time. I would love to do Guardian Con.
They're moving from Tampa to Orlando. Wink,
Hey,
wink.
Orlando.
I could just do a Disney World trip.
I'd go back. I was just there like a couple weeks ago.
I hate you so much.
Disposable income.
But yeah, like when I'm at work, I listen to the Guardian Con guys on Twitch usually. Mainly the guy who runs it. So,
Well, I think the problem with Guardian Con, it always conflicts with other events.
I don't think it is this year.
Yeah, I think there are some stuff around. I forget what it was this year. It might have been RTX actually.
It was always RTX.
RTX will always be their thing. RTX is July 4th week. Literally, it encompasses July 4th next year. I have no idea what my event plans are for moving forward with ConCal because I've talked about it loosely on the show, but my wife has now been unemployed for like 3 or 4 months because I wanted to make sure she could actually like have a happy life and not be miserable at work. It turns out with 2 kids, a 0 income family is no matter how much you have in savings does not last you long because Cobra Insurance is a bitch. It's too good insurance to pass up though. And a bunch of other things. So yeah, I'm in job hunt mode right now. So we'll see how ConCal works out in 2020 with going to events, at least for myself, because I'm trying to get a job in PR and depending on the agency you go with,
Right.
some are really okay with you doing, fun things and stuff like that. Others are like, fuck off. This is a conflict of interest.
Right.
So,
I swear, would Josh ever actually bills me for how much money I owe him for conventions? It'd just be like winning a lottery. It's fine, Josh. You're taken care of.
it's still probably under $1,000, I imagine.
It is.
It's gotta be. Like if it's over 1,000, just send me $1,000 on PayPal right now, and I'll take it. Eventually Thad will pay me. Anyways, I love you. Listen to actually, I owe him a text message, but where do I want to go with this?
Yeah. So I think probably one thing I definitely wanted to hit on was since a lot of us, I know like me and you, we've been away from this probably for longer than
you've been away for longer, and I literally, despite knowing each other, I've never been on a show together. Also,
yeah, no, because I came on after you.
Shit, you're right.
No, I only one after
It was,
Phoenix Comic Con.
yeah.
Phoenix Comic. Yeah, you're right.
That was in the old house.
So yeah, in the Marine House, because it was
that one.
Yeah.
yeah. Did we bring
There's somebody else there too.
Brent Hankins from what was Nerd Repository and is now Lamplight Review. He's like does fucking amazing stuff. That guy, he doesn't really talk so much. If we talk wrestling, it's pretty much all we talk anymore.
That's fair. But yeah, I think that's the only one that we've been on together.
Yeah, you're right.
But in like the midst of our time of not being on here, and this being a kind of gaming leaning podcast, what have you been playing, and what have been the most the games that have affected you most since you've been able to like talk about them on a podcast?
Holy crap! This is why we let Brian do interviews.
Once upon a time, yeah.
You're talking like 5 years of gaming right there.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go anywhere from
Let's
top three.
Let's go some like three high. Yeah, I was gonna say top
Hey,
three highlights.
just put it out there. The Catch-All weekly podcast every Wednesday. I mean, if you want to talk about your gaming things, let's do it.
Yeah, I'm down.
yeah.
If you guys think that this is a one-off from Steven, this is just my pilot to getting Steven to do more stuff
Trying to rope me back
because I really miss Steven.
Pilot, scheme, whatever you want to call it.
Recently what I've been playing a lot of is just like Assassin's Creed back catalog. They came out with so many so fast that like I'm going through Odyssey right now, and I'm 70 plus hours into the game and just grinding and going through and being like, hey,
Good.
get home
You're only
from work
halfway through. It's fine.
Yeah, right. I'm like, where the fuck does this game end? It just keeps going.
Oh, it never.
That's how I felt about whenever Justin would talk about Witcher, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm only like 10% of the way through," and it's like,
The Witcher 3. Fuck that game. God, everyone keeps still telling me, "Hey,
I think he's still playing through it." I might.
Are you gonna play The Witcher 3 on fucking Switch? No, I'm not. I have two children. It's two children or The Witcher. Those are your options.
Well, what's sad is like
The
I'll still
Witcher.
pick up like Skyrim every once in a while, spend 8 hours making gloves or some shit, just like, yeah, there's those games that you can just grind for hours and hours and hours. And that's what a lot of the like that I do. Like I'll get off work and then play for 2 hours or 6 hours and then be late for work the next day. Or not really late for work, just, I should have gotten more than 3 hours of sleep.
I feel that.
Yeah. But one of the big games, probably just because I'm thinking about it because you brought it up, was Prey.
Oh my god, yes.
Definitely off my radar when it first came out. Like I was like, I'm excited for this game, but kind of let it fall by the wayside.
Yeah.
And then my wife bought it 'cause she was like, oh, hey, looks like a fun game. And then she played it for half an hour and never touched it again. Went back to it and I just devoured it.
It's I think what we were talking about before we started recording was just like the story surprisingly grabs you, and it's not all laid out for you. You really have to go searching, and even if you don't go searching, you can still get a pretty good handle on the game. I feel like I'm doing with Control what I did with Prey. I keep hearing great things about Control, and I really want to grab it, but I'm so wary about grabbing new games anymore. I like waiting until they've been out for at least like a little bit.
Yeah.
But
yeah, even with Prey, like I went through it once, not knowing what I was doing. I try to go back through it again, doing the exact same, like, okay, I kind of know where this is going. Let me try to steer my decisions. And it's a totally different game.
Yeah.
Even when I try to replicate it, I can't do the same thing.
And that's a testament for sure just to how well they thought that narrative out. And definitely. I think that's been the thing for me. Actually, no. I think I cut you off. I think you have like one more thing. So we have the back catalog of Assassin's Creed, Prey, and then is there like something that's maybe a bit more light-hearted that's like also been on your radar as far as games?
I mean, not particularly. It's very laid back. I have like Kingdom Hearts 3 that I picked up, but have yet to open the packaging of because like I just don't have time. I guess
that's very fair.
What is going on this side?
Brad's like in front of me for having a White Claw.
I mean, what flavor is it?
This was raspberry, but I had the Truth in the fridge, which is also black cherry, which, oh my god.
My only experience with White Claw is I had a mango at PAX West, and I had the worst hangover of my entire life, and I had literally one. So that's my one experience.
See, I don't think I was the
White Claws
White
are
Claw.
Neozimas.
I will give benefit that it's probably not the White Claw, but it was a competing factor. Also, wine coolers work fine because I think there was a party once that I threw in the old dromedary house in the olden days where, if I remember right, we woke up afterwards because this is the days when Charnel used to have parties where everyone would wake up
I know
at.
which one you're talking about.
No, we're not talking about that party.
Okay.
We're not talking about that party. No, we're talking about my birthday party, when we first moved into the house, after Steven and I first became friends and went to Celebration, where we woke up the next morning and I had this chest that was about 3 to 4 feet by about a foot and a half that was literally completely covered in Smirnoff Ice. And I mean, like, literally 3 to 4, that much space completely covered with. And I woke up and I said, who drank all of those? And Steven and our friend Kat looked at me like, yeah, that was like you. I had like 20 Smirnoff Ice. So no, I can handle wine coolers probably.
Right on.
Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, for myself, I think I think Prey has kind of brought that back out in me. There have been fewer and further in between narrative-based games in the past 5 years for me that I've really like gotten into. I think probably the biggest series for me, I love the reboots so much, is the Tomb Raider series. Because watching Lara grow, you really do.
I've never played a Tomb Raider, but I've literally never played a single Tomb Raider game in my entire life, and I very badly want to play the reboots. I just never got around to it.
The reboots, which to me, it's the funniest thing.
Horribly a lot. I mean,
yes.
Start with it.
So it's funny because Uncharted stole from Indiana Jones and the original Tomb Raider, and then Tomb Raider went right back around and did the same thing with the you're playing a movie thing. Yeah. But man, the way that they lead Lara through the first game, and I won't ruin anything for you, but essentially it's her.
Whatever. She raids a tomb.
Yeah. But a lot of it goes. The first game is her like supernatural shit. No, what is this? And maybe at the very end, like going, okay, I can maybe believe this. The second game is her like really dealing with like, oh no, there's some spiritual shit, and you have to come to terms with it. And the third one is my favorite because within the first 20 minutes, she gets just the entire shit kicked out of her because essentially her tomb raiding leads around to the end of the world. And it like it hits her very hard, and just like you went into this not thinking what you were doing, and now you have to clean up the mess. And I loved that they put her in that position because that's one thing I think they kind of touch on a little bit, or not even at all in Indiana Jones. It belongs in a museum. Maybe it doesn't always belong in a museum, and that's the kind of point they were trying to make. And I loved that they went that way with it. And that's then wonderful. The way that they ended it too. She almost has no room to not believe in any spiritual stuff. Like it's amazing the way that they pull it off. But yeah, and then as far as lighthearted games that I've been into, Slime Rancher, man. Slime Rancher is so fucking good.
This is the third time today I've already heard you talk about Slime Rancher.
It's better in the farming sense of Minecraft. I still love Minecraft with all my heart. I I'm surprised it's still surviving 10 years later.
Well, Minecraft is resurging right now. If you go look at Twitch and Mixer, I mean, I don't know if there's like some sponsorship deals or what's going on
it's one of the longest running Let's Play types.
I mean, come on. Minecraft has ray tracing now. That's
no, I mean that is cool, but 90% of the streamers on Mixer and Twitch are not fucking using an RTX like video card. They're just streaming it.
Yep.
Justin and I have actually talked a few times the last few weeks. I am desperate to start a Sky Factory 4 server. I very badly want to do a Minecraft Sky Factory 4 server because I've been watching Achievement Hunter.
No.
But no. I actually also think it's really just cool. Somebody after PAX West convinced me to play some Minecraft with them, and I was like, God, this is just like... just coming back to something really nice. So I can imagine how Slime Rancher works for you. That it gives you that same kind of like,
and it's really fun because like they have this whole like stock market for these animals' poops. Like you turn in their poops for money. Like literally, that's that.
As one does.
Yeah, and so you can put them in, right, yeah. And so you can like put them in pens and stuff, and then you can mix them. So you can have like different. So yeah, you feed
mixing the different types of poop.
Yeah, you actually feed them another type's poop, and then they become both of them, and they give you both types of poop.
Well, who's hungry?
I am.
God, I'm really looking
and
forward to
and John McAfee is.
Yeah.
And if you get that reference, my God.
If you're just tuning into the Constantly Calibrating Podcast, this is our episode 300, where we're bringing back all the old co-hosts from Constantly Calibrating, all the people who've actually hosted this show in some capacity or had creative control in some way, shape, or form. And yes, we are discussing poop and Slime Rancher.
Yes. Sorry, they're called plorts. I wish I was joking, but I'm not.
You know you can get me to, you know you've got me when I'm just like, I'm not worried that my bald spot's going to be on camera.
But yeah, so it's
not a spot anymore. It's the whole back of my head.
I think that for me, it's been hard. I think kind of to what you were saying at the end of yours, though, is like finding time anymore. I want to like put myself into new games. I'm trying to make my way with my fiance through We Happy Few because we love the whole mod kind of look to it. The story, it reminds me like visually of BioShock Infinite, just the kind of cartoonishness, but it's kind of realism. But yeah, it's finding time for anything anymore. Like that's why I love Rocket League so much, is because I know I can jump in for 5 minutes and then I can jump right back out.
Yeah, you were the one Extra Life 2016 is the first time we did it.
I think so.
Who started the whole everyone playing Rocket League thing? I'd literally never played Rocket League before.
I love it. So, like I'm a odd savant with it. Like I get it. If for some reason it makes sense to me spatially, and I love it so much.
I mean, there's nothing to complain about there. I mean, if a game makes sense to you, what I always say to people is like sometimes you'll hear them on the internet or hear them at an event like, I wish I didn't like this game. It's like, why? Why do you wish you didn't like that game? Because here's the thing. If you like that game, then you like that game.
Yeah.
Is it different from the norm of what you might normally like? Or is it something that's odd from the normal consumers? Okay. Who gives a shit? Like, I'm the person who doesn't like a lot of games people normally like, and I'm the person who does love a lot of games people normally hate. One of my favorite games of all time is Star Wars Rebellion, a game widely fucking hated by people. So it's like, you like what you like, you don't like what you don't like, and just don't be an ass to the people who disagree with you.
Unless you have facts. No, don't even do that.
Even those facts better be some really good fucking facts.
If Stephen Molyneux says it, then it's no. Sorry, fuck Stephen Molyneux.
My brain literally forgot who Stephen Molyneux was for a second. I thought you were talking about Peter Molyneux, and I was so fucking... No. That's the good Molyneux.
Because am I mixing up Molyneux?
Well, Stephen Molyneux is a guy who says some shit about gaming that's not friendly and stuff like that. I think Peter Molyneux is the guy behind Lionhead and Fable.
Yeah.
Okay. Who also says shit about gaming, but it never comes true.
And that's what I was that's what I was referencing on, because you guys would talk about it all the time. I've still never played through Fable, but now that I have Game Pass, I've downloaded all 3 of them, and I'm going to play through.
So my idea, I have a show for Couch Co-op Show, which was supposed to be just like a short party games and stuff like that for interviews. But God, I think I want to do this with you playing Fable now.
Okay, yeah, I'm fine with that.
I think we need to do like a show
Chaser.
where you come over and play Fable, and I just look at you like, why the fuck are you making these choices?
So like
Victor,
me in
are
any
you
D&D
listening?
setting.
Yes. I have ideas. I think the mention of Fable made Brad and I both go, oh.
No.
Chicken chaser.
Chicken chaser.
God,
I wanted
Playground
to
Games, just tell us it's true.
I know Brad, Justin and I have been doing this stuff all the time, and Brad has been more recent, but I kind of want to extend your question about the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Brad, I know this is, what would you say in, let's just like, in the
What's up,
last
Steve?
5 to 7 years, what would you say has been your, Steve Bowling. Wow, Steve Bowling is in the chat from Game Explain. Steve Bowling, who lives like down the street from me and I never see, is in the. No, seriously, thank you so much, Steve, for the congratulations. He joined Mixer for this.
Thank you.
wow.
Ooh, that's high
Thank
praise.
That is incredibly high. Thank you so much, Steve. It's wonderful to have you here. Brad, what would you say? In the time you have been with ConCal, I know this is a difficult question. A couple of games that you have really truly loved that have mattered to you. I know this is like, that's a stretch, and you can say World of Warcraft.
Clear line.
I can or can't.
Can.
How's vanilla?
CAN.
Funny thing, I've been on sub for 2 months. I didn't even start Classic yet.
That doesn't actually surprise me.
Does for me.
He has 3 kids. Come on.
No, you have
That's
3
true.
kids now.
I don't have the time.
You're like 2 dogs.
Like I have a Final Fantasy 14 subscription right now because I signed up for 1 month to stream it.
Josh, you're cutting off on my end. I don't know
am?
why. Yeah, it's been going on, and I just lost that whole sentence.
I was just saying that I signed up for a month of Final Fantasy 14 to stream it, and then ended up winning a free month. Right? Actually, I won the collector's edition, the digital collector's edition of Shadowbringers. But
Yeah, I bought that, and I haven't played it yet.
I was to say I had already bought the digital upgrade or whatever, so
Right.
I was just like, yeah, give me a free month of the game. I've used like 10 days of that shit, but as I was to say, so like it's really funny. I'm getting somewhat back into MMOs as you're just not having the time to do it.
I kind of am, and I kind of aren't. Like, went through a 2-month stint there where me and the wife played ESO together, and that's probably the most gaming we've ever done together, like ever. So I kind of want to get back to that, just because it's something we've never done. I mean, I'm gonna fall back on the stuff you guys know. WoW's had a huge impact on me. Literally probably got 20 plus plushies over there on the wall.
I thought you said like
From
20
WoW.
plus months of playtime or something like that.
No, well, maybe.
It's possible.
It's possible. I haven't checked my /played in a while. But yeah, there's
Don't.
that. Anytime a Zelda game comes out, that's me. Destiny finally has clicked with me with D2. Like the end of
Okay.
D1, it was really, really good. And then I was like, all right, I'll give him another shot. And, I took like a 6-month break this year because the content was kind of in a drought, but I just came back a few weeks ago and played the end of year 2, and it's been amazing still. And then next week we start off year 3. That's been pretty big for me. I've been,
Wait, Destiny 2 is in year 3 starting up soon?
year 3 starts
How has
next
that
week.
game been around? I feel like that has not been around that long.
It's been around since 2014. It's burned him. It's the reason I have an Xbox One.
It's just the crazy thing that Destiny
Shockingly
that,
enough,
that they did Destiny and they went straight into Destiny 2. It's just so hard for my brain to fathom that it's been what? It's because it's
3
only been
years.
5 years of Destiny total, right?
Yeah.
Yep, they did 3, and we just finished our end of year 2 here.
Assuming I can afford to keep my Founders Edition pre-ordered, I probably won't play Destiny 2 until Stadia actually shows up on my door. Because, yeah, I got that shit pre-ordered. Why not?
I just want to point out that Borderlands 3 made a Destiny 1 launch joke.
What's that? Because I don't actually play.
That's it.
There's
That's
a lot of Destiny references in Borderlands, actually.
Well, I mean, I'll talk about it
Yeah.
a lot tomorrow too, but it's like that would have been funny
4 years ago,
when
5
Destiny
years ago.
launched.
Yeah.
I mean, well, the joke
Moving on.
Justin made earlier about me winning games and stuff like that, I won a copy of the Super Deluxe Edition of Borderlands 3 like 3 nights ago. I've won like 8 collector's editions of games this year, and I don't know
Josh
why.
has a skill. It's entering contests
It's true.
accidentally.
I know these are all
Purposely.
intentional. I never did this before. Like I used to enter contests and I never used to win. The funny thing is my Twitter only exists. The Bear Punch Twitter only exists because I wanted to enter Treehouse/BioWare. We're doing a contest where if you won literally every piece of BioWare merchandise on Treehouse at that time, which was like 2013.
Again, Josh, what did that cost you?
A friendship, but it was worth
Yes.
it. But no, in 2013, I entered, and the reason I took Bear Punch was because Namrevless J wasn't available. For some reason, some other,
takes that.
that was my response, but it was some guy took Namrevless J. I'm assuming it was because he just smashed his keyboard, and that was the fucking letters that came out. It wasn't like it was the J Silverman in reverse, but yeah.
Josh
So I
takes
kind of
another name. I'm just.
Fuck you. No, but so no, I never win contests, but this year now I've like won like 8 collector's editions of games, in those random times. Like usually I hop into a stream, I enter the keyword, and within 5 minutes of being in that stream, I win whatever the contest is, and I sit there and I'm like, I don't know if I should claim this. Usually I say no, but I'm tempted enough by Borderlands 3.
True.
So.
I'm
Go ahead, Brad.
I will say I'm having an absolute blast with that. It is by far the best Borderlands experience they've done.
From everything I've heard, even the negatives about the game, that's pretty much what I've overall heard is it's, the worst thing about Borderlands 3 is it's literally the exact same thing you've played 2 different times before, or 3 different times before.
3.
Yeah, but I
But made
played every
better.
second of 1 and 2.
Here's
I
the
mean-
thing.
The last
They've
co-op game I
cleaned
played
it
with
up.
you was Borderlands 2.
Yeah.
Like, the gunplay is on par with Bungie.
Huh.
Oh no,
Oh.
like, that's what keeps me in Borderlands 3. Like, there's a
Kinda
lot of
low
crap.
rent.
I'm going to talk about it tomorrow. But actually, like, by no means is it going to be in the game of the year running for me, but it may be probably one of the games I played the most this year.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Like, I haven't even finished the story. I know how the story ends because I've been listening to streamers. And
You're on the
what
internet
they-
more than a week after it released.
Also, doesn't
Well,
matter.
well, here's the thing. I didn't listen to them for this to ruin the story for myself. What Gearbox has done is they've created this amazing little integration for Twitch. And if you watch the streamer and they pick up a red loot chest, you can win the loot in that box. I've gotten like 10 legendaries out of it, probably, and a bunch of other loot. And it's addictive. You can farm loot while watching someone else farm loot.
That part I didn't know. I knew about, like, that you could, like, look at somebody's loadout and stuff up with the add-ons, but I didn't know you could actually get loot in the game.
Yeah, you get loot. You can take control of the badasses that spawn and level them up. And when they level up, you can give them pinatas to break,
Ooh.
which is either money, loot, or a grenade. If you're feeling mean. So, like, I really want to see where this extension goes, and I really hope that the other platforms see what this is doing and copy it, or, something similar. It's really, really smart.
That's awesome. By the way, for anyone who's listening, the audio listeners later on won't hear this, but for anyone listening live, sorry if you just heard some really lot of ridiculous sounds. I decided to turn off the mixer and ask Steve and Brian a question really quickly, and it broke the whole fucking mixer for a few seconds. Fixed it now, thankfully.
We're back.
It's literally...
300 episodes later, we're still doing the sound.
Well, I was going to say, I love, Brad, I love what you're saying, and literally your spiel right there just actually sold me more on Borderlands than almost anyone has fucking sold me on it. So...
There's a guy, there's a NPC that talks to you through recordings, and I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be a Jew, because he says schlep.
And suddenly I lost all interest in Borderlands 3.
Good thing I've gone so many episodes without hearing any of it.
Without a juke being told. But no, I was just say was, it's really funny, the self-fulfilling prophecy of Constantly Calibrating. What Steven and I didn't know the power we had when we originally named it, because the fun thing about Constantly Calibrating was we recorded almost, I think, was it the first episode or 2 episodes? I think it was 2 episodes before we actually fully named it, right? I think we were in the I think it was during the second episode we came up with the name Constantly Calibrating.
Yeah.
And it was just because we like Garrus, but the self-fulfilling prophecy of it is that I know people who run podcasts who have a lot of difficulty, tech issues happen, things happen, anything that can go wrong will go wrong, but my God, the show is just the biggest clusterfuck of tech issues that I've ever experienced in my life.
And yet we still keep going.
Indeed.
I mean, I've said it before, unless I am either broke, and straight up, if I'm broke and I can't afford hosting fees, I'm probably gonna just ask someone else to pay for it, kind of thing. So unless like literally stuff just breaks down, we can't do it anyway. It's gonna be Justin. If it just breaks down and just stops working, I mean that would be the only thing I can conceive of. Or literally, one of us gets a job and we're told, "Hey, you can't do this shit anymore." You
guys remember Constantly Calibrating Dukes?
No,
I don't.
Wait, was that only fucking one that paid him?
Oh, the dude. No, I remember. I know there was the period. Yeah, there was the period when Roran was born. There was the 6-week period right before he was born where I was having regular panic attacks in Slack, or I think we were using Slack at that point.
Yep.
I was having regular panic attacks because I'm like, I got another kid. I got this kid on the way. At that point, so Roran was in 2015. So Charnel was 2 years into working for a nonprofit as a teacher, and I'm like, I can't afford a child. I can't afford this. And this kid is, we already know the kid's gonna be special needs and stuff like that. So we're like, I can't afford this and I can't afford that. And I started with panic attack, and I don't remember who said it. And someone was like, "You want to just split up the ownership?" And yeah, it ended up being Justin, Brad, myself, and Brian split up the ownership. No, everyone paid their dues.
Yeah.
Everyone paid their dues for, I think we did that for like 6 or so months.
And then,
before my control freakness asserted itself, and I realized I still had money, where I was like, hey, no, I'm actually not comfortable with how we're doing this, and I'm a terrible leader, and I just need to regain control. At that point,
good.
I'm so much better at stuff now, and I wish I could send that knowledge back in time. So,
but then we wouldn't have gotten to where we're at now. So
no, I agree. I wholeheartedly.
But yeah,
I want to ask
go ahead.
Go ahead, Brad.
That's all I got. I was just going to say that.
I was going to say, I want to ask Justin the same question that we were going around with, but I was going to say, just like segueing a little bit, like, no, that's the thing. Like, I hate some stuff that's happened with ConCal over the years, like, falling outs and problematic things that have happened. But I wouldn't be the person I am right now if all that shit hadn't happened, and I wouldn't be in a position where I'm at where I can actually like talk to people and be an emotionally mostly adjusted individual. So it's like, I hate that what came in the past, but I'm glad that it's all rectified for the most part with most people. At least the people I actually love and care about. There's a couple people who go fuck themselves. I'm kidding. Actually, I don't know. Oh, actually, I bumped that. I have no grudge. I have literally no grudges right now.
Wow. That is growth.
I am 34 years old and I have 0 grudges against any fucking person. There's one person I don't particularly like right now, but there's no grudge. It's just like, I don't want to deal with you kind of situation. Yeah. So, no, there's no grudges. The one thing I pride myself on, I talked on episode 299 just with Khalif Adams' Spawn on Me. By the way, if you're listening to this podcast, and God help you if you are, if you're listening to this podcast, go listen to Spawn on Me. Absolutely wonderful podcast. I still think Khalif is the single best podcaster on earth, pretty much. I think the absolute top-notch person. But he was on the show last week, and we talked about the fact of negativity and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That I was a negative bastard until I was 30 years old. And then I looked at my son, 5 months old, and I'm like, oh...
Yeah,
there's a problem here. And I've worked now for 4 years to try to fix some issues.
I think that's all of us in some way, shape, or form in when we've dropped in, dropped out.
Are you in your 30s now?
Well, I just turned 27.
Then you're not.
Oh my God. No, I know. I'm still
baby. I forget how young you are.
Yeah, you remember this is Josh's home for wayward boys.
Ryan, we're not talking about my similarities to my father at all right now.
Me sad.
Did I go too dark? Oh wow!
I'm cutting that out and send it to him. I don't even have his number, but I'll find it.
Please, I haven't spoken to him in like 6 weeks. Can we please not be that the first communication we have in 6 weeks?
I think it would spark an interesting conversation.
Oh God!
/agree.
We should talk off the air, Justin, for why you should not do that.
No, see, and it's a problem too. Like, if somebody told us, like, every single one of us is like the problems we had at that time. Here's the problem with every single one of us back then and now, and it's like we all knew we had issues with each other, or but we all begrudgingly just hold it and never tell each other and just assume fuck it or it's going to fix itself. I wish I could say like I Josh could attest. I fucking rip on him every single time I can now. But yeah, we all kind of grew out that. It's weird. Like again, like Steven, do you remember when I ever talked?
Yeah, occasionally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
that was
I would
just
recognize your voice.
Yeah.
You talk like this, and you say something, and you're certified, and you're.
Well, yeah, Brad. See, meanwhile, I literally just backed into a corner when I worked at GameStop. Where the point, our district manager talked to our managers, like, is something wrong with him?
Justin, I love you with all my heart, and literally you're one of the people I love most in the world, but I'm pretty sure Brian and I can attest to like a RTX 2014 moment where you backed into a corner and didn't communicate, and then versus...
so that was 2015.
This was 2015.
Because of all that bullshit that happened.
Oh, you mean me getting into a fight with Glitch Feed and being a temperamental little bitch? Yeah, no, I own up to shit. Hey, Sarah and Troy and I are friends now.
Good.
Again, so, but no, I was just say, there's a lot of Josh was a little bitch moments in Constantly Calibrating history. But
call those growth moments.
Yeah. Sure. No, what I was saying was, it's funny looking back, like the growth with Constantly Calibrating versus the growth of individuals. Justin was a person who 2015 RTX did some amazing things. I mean, he interviewed Greg Miller that literally that moment launched, we didn't know at the time, launched a shit ton of, Justin and I's forward progression, years later kind of thing, that one interview, but Justin was still this quiet guy. And then versus PAX West, where he's out at the bar almost every single night with me, and I'm off talking to someone, doing whatever I'm doing, talking to a friend or buying someone drinks, and there's Justin, I can still see in the corner, not with me, still in the bar, still talking to people, including people that I don't think either of us knew, and I'm like, you go. You know, that's...
the only party I didn't attend to is because I was physically broken, not
party.
mentally, so it was great. Yeah, which I'm sad I missed.
Polish party was a thing. Anyone who goes to PAX West, if you get an invite to the Polish party, go. Also, either get there early enough to eat their food, or eat a lot of food beforehand, because it's the Polish party. It's the liquor is flowing.
Wait. So, but if it's the Polish party, so did they have some damn good pierogies?
I got there right as they were putting them away. But I've heard from I'm not exaggerating when I say I got there, and I literally walk in the room and somebody says, "Hey, you better get over there to get the pierogies," and I'm like. And my question was, are they beef or are they pork and chicken? And they're like, hey, there's no beef. And I'm like, awesome. No, it's gone. Because I asked the question about, which I've literally been sick if I had, but it was like one of those things where I'm just like, shit, kind of moments. No, that would have been delightful. That's also where I discovered I like bourbon, because they ran out of rum 8 minutes into the party, and I just drank bourbon all night.
There you go.
But yes, so Justin, let's talk games for you.
Oh.
So the same question as Brad, same question as Brian asked originally. Just one or two, three even, games that in the time you in ConCal that really stand out for you.
Oof. That's a tough one, dude. Like, going back far back.
It's been asked 3 fucking times. You should be talking about it somewhat in the back of your mind.
Yeah, what's the problem? Like, I'm starting to talk about it every week now.
Well, I know. That's the tough thing, because we actually run a dedicated gaming show, which that only took like 7 years to get off the ground.
Let's see how long this one goes. But God, I'm trying to think which games that just straight up disappeared in. I know Red Dead's one of them, but
Red Dead's an easy one, yeah.
You're the reason I got into Dying Light, and that I enjoyed it so much.
Whoops.
And your playthroughs through it were enjoyable for me. And I think some of the first videos we really got traction on.
We still get comments on that till this day.
Hell yeah.
They're not great comments, but they're comments, and I appreciate everybody who leaves them. But
no, it's amazing. We get at least 2 comments every single month on Justin's old Dying Light videos, because for those who only know Constantly Calibrating the last couple of years, Justin was like one of the premier somehow Dying Light streamers for like, because for some reason we were sent a copy of Dying Light like 2-3 months before.
Upload internet speed.
God.
And yeah, you were on a 10 gigabyte. You were on a.
No, I'm sorry. That was a 1 megabit upload.
You were on 1, like
10 down.
You weren't even like 1040 resolution.
All of our internet sucked.
No. our internet sucked. His internet was like a travesty. I mean that like it was bad quality. Your audio was fine.
My 3G internet was better than what you had.
It was. Brad worked off a hotspot, and he had better stuff than ever could.
2 years I worked off a hotspot.
Damn.
I didn't even know that because Brad was fine. I didn't pay attention much.
I did. I looked at it like, what the fuck is that, Brad?
What else you got, Justin? One more, and then I literally have one answer. So
I'm trying to think what I spent
played GTA Heist drunk as fuck.
The Fireball times, yes.
Oh no! The reason why we've never attempted a GTA heist ever again, and also why I'm still mad that people deleted their footage, because even if it was a shitty video, I want the footage.
I have it.
You have yours, but mine got corrupted. Brad and Ryan were like walked away from the footage.
I think, this is the first time I ever pissed Josh off enough where he just got up, walked away, left.
We literally reached the point where just Steven, to fill you in on this. So we did a GTA heist, right? Okay. We're spending forever doing this. We did the first part pretty quickly. The second part was a little more difficult. It's one where you're like in this alley and there's like 3 different sniper points and stuff like that. I don't know how many times we attempted it, but we finally complete it, and it's Justin's getting ever drunker. I'm getting angrier and a little drunker. I don't know if Ryan and Brad were drinking necessarily. And we're all kind of getting a little annoyed. And I think I'm even texting with Ryan at this point, like, Justin has got to like chill the fuck out. Cause I'm losing, cause I'm like, he's not even being that bad, but I'm losing my temper was where I was at, kind of thing. And then we complete the mission. And I could not for the life of me convince Justin we completed the mission.
Wait, we did?
We completed the mission, and I kept saying, "Hey, Justin, we've completed the mission. You need to literally walk 1 block away from the zone so we can complete the mission." You're like, "Nah, man, I've got this. I'm in control. I got the vantage point." And I'm like, "Justin, leave walk 1 block away. I will give you $100 real money. Walk away from the fucking mission."
It all makes sense now.
And you wouldn't do it. And I literally, straight up, stood up, hit my desk, and walked away and said, "You're a fucking moron." And I walked out of the room. I didn't come back for 30 minutes. It's still recording. I've never seen the footage of anything that happened on their end.
That's beautiful.
I came back and we had finished the mission. He did leave. But it was just, it's literally the only time I've ever gotten mad enough at any person to walk away. And then my video corrupted, and Brad and Ryan, I think, were just like, "Oh no, we witnessed something we shouldn't have."
The anger seeped through the computer.
I would love to see that footage at some point, Justin.
I think I do have it, actually.
If you still have it, I'll do something with it.
God, no.
Plane train job.
Oh, God.
Oh, man.
I wasn't even there for that one, but oh, God.
For callbacks. But, so if you don't have another game, I'll slip into that.
Go ahead, because I can't think of anything right now that stands out, which is sad, because I play so many things I know I got sucked into.
5 years. So let's just go. I'll even go 7 years. Constantly Calibrating. We're a podcast that started as a Mass Effect 3 fan podcast. Why we didn't continue being a Mass Effect podcast blows my mind, because there's a Mass Effect podcast that's almost been around almost about half as long as we have that is doing very well. I don't know why we didn't just stick to that. I think it's just Steve and I want to just continue our conversations. But it's a case of when I think back in 7 years of Concal, Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to do you one better. Andromeda. If I think of the last 7 years, the game that stands out to me the most is Andromeda, because it's literally the linchpin turning point in Constantly Calibrating, and with how I handled real world topics versus we're going to have a fun game cast kind of thing. And it was the moment where we did an episode called Calibrating Gamer Entitlement. About Mass Effect Andromeda, because a bunch of people attacked some no-name random ass artist who barely had shit to do with the game because she was a woman. And I lost my fucking temper on the podcast, and I literally could not control myself, and I was almost in tears level fucking anger. And that's where we pivoted from our very loose rule, which was really just to not go political, to not go religious, to not go real world.
No, I was pretending like I was about to go political.
Yeah.
So
No, but like that was Justin, Brad, and I had like tossed around that we never really like agree. That wasn't like a rule. It was just like, let's try to avoid this because we don't have good enough opinions to actually have a conversation about this more than like, let's not do it.
We tend to pussyfoot around and agree with each other a lot.
If you're wondering, the crying children is on my side, by the way.
But yeah, I think that's one thing I think everybody else is really much better at now is like we can actually just be real with each other, which is very nice.
No, yeah, absolutely. So, but Andromeda was that point for me where one, it's my favorite Mass Effect game because I've talked about this on a few different podcasts, and I actually got into a fight with someone on Twitter like 3 days ago about this. It's just the game that. It's Mass Effect 1, all the wonderment of Mass Effect 1, but with a significantly better combat loop and gameplay loop. It's essentially Mass Effect 3 with Mass Effect 1's wonderment.
Yeah, I'd give it that.
And I think every person I've ever explained that to who straight up hated the game has been like, I actually get your point in that regard, even if they didn't like it. So that is what kind of is my favorite game of the last 7 years, because the effect it had to me, it was like harkening back to where we started. And then also it was the point where I'm like, you know what? Actually, fuck it. I'm not going to avoid the real world anymore. And I have opinions. And if I'm wrong in the opinion, call me out on my bullshit and let's have a discussion about it versus if I'm wrong on my opinion, don't talk to me. I'm so scared. I don't want people to think I'm a moron. I'm a fucking moron half the goddamn time. It's just how it is.
Well, the thing is, we realize most of the internet's fucking morons, but we learn from that.
Vast majority.
Yes.
Things.
I mean, no, it's.
I was going somewhere with that, but I totally forgot where I was going.
I mean, also literally on my desk, I don't know which camera it's on. I have the Nomad, and then behind me, I got a Nomad, and there's like Mass Effect Andromeda shit everywhere. I got a coin. Like I keep Mass Effect Andromeda stuff everywhere. I keep more Mass Effect 3 stuff around if I actually had Mass Effect 3 merch, but
it only has to be red, green, or blue.
And that's the Constantly Calibrating Podcast for this evening.
Bringing it back.
I'm just looking now. We've dropped a shit ton of frames. If anyone's watching this live, I really hope this is looking good for you. Hopefully at least sounds good. The one night we actually... I mean, Steve Bolding from Game Explain was in here for a little bit.
Well, and no, it's just we're doing a callback to all the other stuff. We're
doing a callback to the shows that weren't live in the olden days. Remember the old days of Constantly Calibrating where I think it was Brad who was just like, we should stream on Twitch, and I'm like, nobody will watch that. Who's interested? Who would ever stream on Twitch? That's like, isn't that just Justin TV Plus? Like, nobody's interested in that.
Oh God, back when it was Justin TV.
Here's that's the thing is we could have been on there in those days.
Yeah.
I think even Steven pitched to me streaming at one point or another, and I'm just like, who would watch that? Because here's the thing, I'm better at it now than I used to be. I was really dumb about forward-thinking tech stuff once upon a time where I just was like, nah.
That's never going to be a thing.
That's never going to be a thing whatsoever. I was literally on a podcast on Spawn on Me last week that had 2,600 people watching. And it was just like, I'm just sitting there and I'm watching the numbers go up and I'm like, and Khalif is talking about like, he loves Constantly Calibrating how good numbers we get. I'm like, dude, I get happy when we hit 15. 15 to 20 is my sweet spot where I'm just like, oh, this is good. I feel you. So it's like, you know what? So like seeing stuff like that always is wonderment. All right. What, we've gone on, honestly, this was again one of those shows where I think I kind of started alluding to the beginning of the show where I didn't really know how long we would go necessarily. Yeah. I had a loose idea in my head, but I'm like, this show is either gonna last 30 minutes and we're gonna run out of shit to talk about, or we're gonna just never stop fucking talking.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really literally until Steve and Brian and I started setting stuff up, and then we brought Brad and Justin in the call where I was like, actually, this might literally go on for fucking ever.
Yeah, there's I'm like, so many great conversations that you're just not going to get.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff again. And again, maybe we do this again. This could just be like Constantly Calibrating's doing a thing ever since episode 291, 92, when Justin and I was on, where every 10 episodes I was just going to bring on somebody for a one-on-one podcast with me. Maybe every now and again, every 20 or so, we just do, just bring a shit ton of people from the past and just talk. But,
I wish I had a forward of thinking to like contact everybody, just say, we all say, fuck you, Josh, and just walk up.
I mean, that would have been a great moment.
Destroy you. But
it would have been the best bit we've ever had.
Josh, 2019 Josh probably would have played along and understood it and cried later. Josh of 2017 and earlier would have cried during the show.
Oh, what just happened?
No, but I would actually love that. But yeah, so is there any other topics we want to really tackle? Things. Of course, Brian has the response.
Yeah, well, but it's going to be another one for all of us. But I think it's because I know kind of the stuff in my head for it. But what are the things that from being on Constantly Calibrating that you've been able to take away from it that you've been able to apply other places in your life over the time that you've been with Constantly Calibrating?
I'll start if that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, my thing is just the fact that I know what I want to do with my life. Before Constantly Calibrating, it was just so 7.5 years ago. So how old was I? That was 2012. So I was 26 and a half. About 26 and a half. I had just gotten married a year before. To be blunt, at that point, we had been told my wife was incapable of having children. So, my dream at that point was my entire life. My dream of my entire life at that point was to have kids. I wanted to be a dad. That's pretty much all I wanted. I want to be a dad and a writer. That's pretty much all I wanted to do. Nothing's changed, by the way. I gesture way too much during shows and hit microphones. But no, I want to be a father. I want to be a writer. And we were hitting the point where I'm like, I guess I'm just never going to be a dad a year in because we've been told that. And so I look back at that, and then now it's just like everything that Constantly Calibrating is giving me has been groups of friends and stuff like that. But it's not just like the people in this expanded room. It's not just the people who've been part of Constantly Calibrating. It's literally the gaming industry as a whole, where I can say, I remember reading stuff that Chris Avalon was writing, and now he's a person that I can email and be like, hey, you want to come on a show? I can text message different people. Like, I was sincerely am not trying to name drop, but it's like, it's the people in this industry who I've respected for, it is minor. But
it's better than it used to be.
It's better than
if you don't want to name drop, you want to game drop. God, you emailed somebody, I'm not name dropping, I know it is, of course, that hey, are you doing something with this? This person texted you. Yeah, or, here you go with that. Did you set up a meeting for Avengers?
Yes, you are right, where it was literally, I knew someone who was doing PR stuff for Marvel's Avengers at PAX West, and I was just curious if they were doing anything at PAX West. And despite we were in a room with people who had far fucking bigger outlets than we had, and we were still in a room getting to play Avengers behind the scenes. So it's literally the people I've met, and it's not just like the cool shit. It's literally the people I have met, the amazing people that I've gotten to experience and talk to, the people who've been on this podcast. But more importantly is I've gotten to know myself in 7.5 years, where again, I'm not that angry anymore. I still have anger management issues, but I'm nowhere near as angry as I used to be. I know what I want to do, and Steven, if I told you 7 years ago when we were starting this shit,
I would have said yes as soon as you asked me to marry you.
It's funny, still to this day, Charles thinks I'm going to run away with you. But no, but if I told you 7.5 years ago, hey, I think I kind of want to work in public relations and marketing.
You'd be horrible for it. Never. What are you talking about? No 7 years ago, Josh? Absolutely not.
No, I didn't know how to talk to people.
You can't even talk to me when I'm in the same room as you.
I had anxiety attacks talking to you. I could barely communicate. The only person I could communicate with any degree of accuracy was you, my wife, Justin. Yeah. Vaguely, and even us, we had trouble half the damn time. So it's just like there was not really a lot of people I could talk to, and now it's just like, yeah, I know I'm applying for. I just literally 2 days ago applied for a job for Square Enix, and I applied for a job for Red Bull. I don't know. I doubt I'm going to get them, but it's like I would have never even considered shit like that once upon a time. And it's not like, oh, I'm just throwing my hat out to the woods. It's like, no, I'm actually good at this. So that's to answer long form, because I don't know how to answer anything short. No, to answer your question.
Perfect. Yeah.
If anyone else wants to go first, if you want to repeat the question, because I talked
so essentially, what's a bitter piece that you've been able to take away from the show, or maybe a bunch of pieces you've been able to take away from the show, whether that's technical, something that, if it has been life changing for you, awesome. But in your time. Any of you guys' time in ConCal, what have you been able to take away from it?
Well, I mean, like, for me, the thing that I really liked about ConCal was it's just two friends who were like, hey, fuck it. Let's try something. Let's just go out and do it. And I mean, essentially, we were able to do that.
Yeah.
Like, it's easy as that. We set our mind to doing something and made something out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, after how many years of friendship? We were at about 5 years of friendship at that point.
Yeah, something like that.
And you and I just tossed about ideas every now and again, like, hey, let's do this. Hey, let's do that. Hey, let's do this. Hey, let's do that. We never did anything. And it was just suddenly like, oh, we actually set our minds to do something. And, yeah.
Yeah, no skills, no background, no anything. And like, fuck it. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's fuck it. Let's do it. Let's we'll see what we can do with it. And while it didn't exactly work out, I think how either one of us ever imagined. I mean, still, it led to ultimately good things.
Yeah, exactly.
Right on. Justin, Brad,
the one of you got
I would just say experience in general. Like, I would have never dreamed of like going to Austin for any particular reason whatsoever, but I went last year. And I'd say, while I'm no expert, I've definitely honed my skills at understanding what to do with PC and live recording and stuff like that. A little bit of exposure to gaming people. I saw Greg Miller. I didn't talk to him.
He's so easy to talk to. He's the nicest guy.
He was intimidating as fuck, dude.
Oh.
No, here's the thing, Greg, we've talked about the show. Greg, until he is literally actively interacting with you, is the most intimidating human being on the face of the earth. The moment you talk to him, you're like, nope. Yep. You're fine. But yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, no, I mean, watching you go from the guy who wasn't at events, Brad, to being at RTX and actually starting to interact and like explore a little bit, I was incredibly proud, and I sincerely dream of being at an event with you again.
I want to go to something else, and that's why I'm pushing GCX a little bit here, because I think that's a little more feasible, especially for us East Coast crew.
Sure enough. I mean, I was just gonna say, also RTX was the first time. Literally the first time post 2 to 3 2-man crew that Constantly Calibrating did an entire podcast entirely locally recorded.
That's true.
It took until the mid 200s again to hit a point where Constantly Calibrating was an entirely locally recorded thing.
God, I want to do that again.
That was such a fucking good show. It was such a great show.
I hate that we were cut short.
I mean, I hate that we were cut short. But if it makes you feel better, Snowbike Mike literally apparently tells that story to everyone he goes to at every event. So apparently he brings that up all the fucking time.
Like just a live podcast aspect, or what?
It was apparently we were his first like podcast we were invited on to. Like, he'd done something kind of funny, obviously, but he'd never been like invited on a show, and he just thought that was like the coolest thing that he'd done. And he just tells stories all the time because he thought we were super professional. And like, I when he told me that story at PAX West, we were drinking again, always. We told me that story at PAX West, and I almost like hyperventilated. I was laughing so fucking hard. I'm like, dude, that was a fly by the seat of our goddamn pants. I don't even know how that thing took place. I was editing that a week or two after the event, watching the footage. Like, I sincerely don't remember any of this. I don't understand how this came to be.
You know why I thought it was professional? We had the slip-on covers for the mics. That's what did
true.
it.
Yes.
Those.
Oh, all right.
No, at that point, that was me. Shout out to Scott Bierzak, one of my better friends, who's the designer of the current Constantly Calibrating logo and some of the other stuff before you guys brought on Fortis.
Well, I mean, I was interested in him making more logos, but that never seemed to work out. So Studio Forge has been wonderful for us making more logos ever since then.
No, he's also very expensive.
Yeah, that's
very expensive.
Yeah, here's my favorite thing about that. You should tell him. I literally never go through an event without at least 5 people asking me, "Holy shit, where do I get this logo made?" And I literally have never heard the guy's name until tonight.
Scott Bierzak. On Instagram at You Bring Fire. And he's an amazing type designer. He kind of moved away from logo stuff and does a lot more type design stuff, but he's fantastic and amazing. And you should definitely go follow his stuff. It's well worth it. He's working with Brand Loyal right now, and they're in downtown Phoenix. But
Awesome.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah, that's a through line for me. I think is that I always pimp out people. That's what worked for me at RTX both years. It was just pimping out Concal, and I do it now with my fiance's cannabis education podcast, Cannabis Quest. Kind of keep with the C names, I think.
I mean, it rolls off the tongue pretty easily. It's good for alliteration.
Mm-hmm.
Constantly Calibrating does not.
I think it does. And Concal works so well.
I mean, what Constantly Calibrating does, I think we started shortening it to Concal Pod because, I told Josh, I can never spell constantly or calibrated when I want to.
That's the only reason I can.
Constantly is fine, but I 9 out of 10 times write calibrating.
There's not a D in it.
Yeah, I think someone tweeted out, it was what are the words you have the hardest time spelling? And my response was constantly and calibrating.
Because there's a reason why we're Concal Pod wherever I can get access to it, because I came to a conclusion that, wow, people just have trouble writing this.
Yeah. Concal Pod, so simple. It's 9 letters. It's great.
But for me, what I took away from it was honestly podcast editing. It's because I took what I learned, because I'd already been doing audio editing before I'd met you guys. That's why I turned you on to Audacity and all this other stuff. And so
there was a time before Audacity. I don't even remember that.
Ooh. Yeah, I don't know how you guys were doing it other than that mic.
Was it?
Holy shit, Brad!
Was it?
How were you doing it? Holy crap!
Was it? It wasn't. No, it wasn't Waves.
No, you guys were recording off of Skype and using what the fuck is it?
Pamela.
There we go.
Pamela
for
fucking
Skype.
Pamela.
Pamela for Skype is how we were recording all the. Oh my god, I forgot about. God, I hope I'm not paying for that still.
I still have it installed, but my Skype account doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think. I mean, I think that whatever credit card that was on has long since been canceled.
Oh.
So, but I definitely never canceled my Pamela account because that was like a yearly charge, I think.
Yeah.
Anyways,
and so from that point in editing here, when I did it well, it was well, and when I didn't, I do want to apologize just straight out to everybody. I was a piece of shit. And I'm less of a piece of shit. I'm still a piece of shit. But from there, I was doing a podcast for a startup that I was working at.
I remember.
And I interviewed you for that. I used you for the...
You tested out Marco Polo, the app, with me.
Right.
You were using with that. That was when I got my job with WD Promotions. When I got my marketing job, you got that job as well. So I was bouncing ideas off of you.
Not for Marco Polo. This was for a sales startup, and it was
right after that.
It was crazy because they were using it as a outreach tool. So essentially, we would interview people that they wanted to buy their software shit, and then 2 weeks after, it'd be like, hey, we got this edited. We're gonna send it out to our fans. You can send it out to yours, and then 2 weeks after, it'd be like, hey, everybody's loved this shit, and we think you'd be perfect for this, this program. And it was just ridiculous. And then, from that point, I've just been, I guess, consulting, doing podcast stuff or audio stuff for people. I was a wedding DJ for about 5 years in the midst of that.
Yeah, there was a point in there where I was considering a remarrying Charnel thing. I'm like, I'll just have Ryan DJ it. That'll be cheap.
True.
And by cheap, I mean...
Free.
Yep.
And so that I think there's been a lot of technical stuff that I've taken away from it, and then I think kind of what I've heard a bunch of different people talk about is when we get to the interview portion, or when we were actually interacting with other people, we got to fanboy a little bit, but then you were able to, for me it was 2014 RTX, I broke through they're just fucking regular people. And so it allowed me to just be super in the moment with them. Talking with Jeff is still one of my favorite things. Getting him to say the father stuff for you right before Roran was born was fun. And then the Ray every single year was great. And I still feel really bad about my Matt Hollum one, because I was not as prepared for that one, and it showed. It felt like it showed to me.
I think all of us who did an interview at an event have like the one or the two where you're just like, I didn't know what the hell I was expecting. I mean, that's pretty much all of Arctic 2012, in all honesty. It was just like, I look back and I'm like, then it's actually a couple of the
Thanks to Smallest Burb.
The Bernie Burns one was way better looking back on than I remembered it being. Mm-hmm. Even the Gus Sorolla one was way better than I remembered it being. But no, I mean, I think we have like a lot of, everyone has at least one or two from these events from all this time. Just either the interviews were just like, I was either not prepared or I was. Mine is usually I expect a guest. Like I go into it like, hey, this guest is gonna be like every other guest I've talked to, where they're gonna play off of me. We're gonna have a conversation, and I ask this deep-seated question like, "Hey, your game is doing this, this, and this. How do you feel about that?" It's good. Fuck, I had 20 minutes planned off of that one question. I had like I thought I envisioned every possible thing you could say, and you just said good. And I think so. There's always like those kind of things where you're either not prepared or in one way, shape, or form. I don't think you could do any kind of professional interviewing and not have those moments, no matter how good or bad you are at it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's also how prepared you are to then pivot off of that.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's what made going out to any of the extra non-interviewee stuff that we did is just whatever was happening. I was just trying to be in the moment, and I think going through this, and even when we would have shows where we had no clue what the fuck we were going to talk about, it was just like okay, we need to go forward with this. What can we do? This, and move.
Might make you feel happy to know people from Finji still remember Constantly Calibrating, not for me, not for Justin. They remember the guy with the weird hair.
Yeah.
To this fucking day, they still remember you for that.
Perfect.
So, I mean...
Amen.
We got lasting marks, and for one reason or another.
Oy.
Who else wants to go on this question?
I literally lost complete track. Brad, you ready?
Hmm?
Oh, okay. No, I'll just take it.
First of all, bitch.
Oh, shit. Well, there's how much I'm paying attention. As I always pay attention to you, Brad. First thing I get off my chest, Steve, if you're still listening, I may or may not drank the whiskey you bought Greg Miller. He knew he was past his limit. He tried to give it to Fran. Fran didn't want it because he knew he was at a point. Then he called me a pussy and I downed it. So... Sorry.
If Steve, you're not here, I'm going to be cutting this out as a trailer and tagging you in it.
But next thing's like, I mean, there's this... I go on about the skills and stuff that I have developed from this. And God, I have changed so much as a person from starting with ConCal till now.
Amen.
And not even just from going to these events and learning, it's from all the people I went through, and just so many people... to try to like deal with my own demons and trying to point that out and give me advice. Sarah from Glitch Fleet, or it was Glitch Fleet at the time, I gotta give her props because we had a nice talk about that. I mean, so many people started me on the path to actually start like taking care of myself. Or like, fuck, I need to go start seeing somebody and go to the doctor. And I started doing that from talking to people from everywhere we met. Just continuously working on for years and years and years. I'm still not quite there yet, but I'm definitely a much better person now than I was. I'm like actually happy being just me, just with myself, than having to rely on being with somebody else to be happy. And there's that. And the next part is like, again, skills and shit like that. But fuck, if you told the young me that, hey, like, God, we started, like, I even told Josh, just like, it'd be fucking cool if we just got free games when we started doing the YouTube stuff.
That was literally the premise of the entire YouTube channel. I mean, sorry for any, like that we were those stereotypical guys who were just like, we're starting a YouTube channel to do Let's Plays and reviews because we get free games.
I mean, fucking not to rip off a fucking Brewster Teeth, but they did it because they wanted free beer, but,
yeah. Always comes back to Rooster Teeth.
Yeah, always does. Yeah. Sorry, like, I'm glad for them where they're at now, but God, we still owe so much to them. But By the way, congratulations, Jeff, Barbara, on your new positions. Matt, for taking your one too. But next is like, fuck, if you told Youngby that you're gonna fucking actually make it to E3 on something you helped build,
and you're not paying for it, you went as industry/PR.
For the passes that I didn't pay for, everything else I did. But still,
what I mean is,
it's like you are on the press list. You're our media. You were treated the exact same as everybody else is on that media list. Not exact same, but still, like we have a lot of.
We weren't like, we were treated the same as everyone who's under IGN, GameSpot, Polygon level.
Yeah, I mean, and even recently too, like. I do always have this problem that I'm like, man, I'm just kind of like riding Josh's coattails. Granted, I did ride Josh's coattails to get into E3 because it's like, my gut refused. Josh got in. I'm like, yo, my founder, like, I wanted to help him out. I was going to be there for support, and I didn't get in. I'm like, okay, you can get in too. Like,
I totally
Literally
thought you said riding Josh's crotch there for a second.
That too. But
hey, I thought we were going to talk about RTX 2014.
Oh man, there's a lot of crossover.
It's 2015 when I interviewed Pony without my pants on. Right?
That is correct.
Yeah,
I showed my fiance that, and they, her and the other people, we were, because like they didn't believe that I used to interview people, and I was like showing them the videos, and I was like, no,
showed the one I did by myself without pants.
Well, yeah, we were going through like all of the playlists.
That's actually not a bad interview. All that, and then, like,
Also,
there's somebody like, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I'll save mine for later.
Okay. But I was gonna go on like, there's Greg Miller knows who I am. Doesn't know my name, but he knows who I am.
He knows you've literally co-hosted Kind of Funny Games. He knows your name now. Did he know your name prior to 20 minutes before you co-hosted Kind of Funny Games?
I swear, if I roll to him, he's gonna go, Josh? But
so is everyone. Everyone asks if I'm Justin still. It's our curse.
It's our charm. Don't fuck it up. But yeah, especially like this last past wax, I realized just how deep we are with them. Like people, like we kind of mention this in other podcasts too, are just like, hey Josh, hey Justin, what's up? And I'm like, oh fuck, they know us like that. I mean, I have people from Mixer and Bethesda who had a nice conversation with me and like took me in deeper, like, yo, not like that, but like, hey man, if you're ever in the area, reach out. Yep. Just people I idolized or greatly looked up to who know me and stuff like that too, that we can have these nice conversations with. Oddly enough, I still can't have a normal conversation with Greg Miller. That's still a weird thing for me, but I don't know. We're like so accepted to people high up in the industry tell us like, no, you're one of us. God, I would never. These are childhood dreams just coming true, and I never would have thought any of this would happen. It's
the roads we take, man.
Weird.
The roads we take, the choices that lead to stuff, the weirdness of what a simple fucking idea can lead to.
Yeah, and just all the awesome people we met too. And I say that because Christine's in the chat, but she's also like one of the most awesome people I've ever met. Among everybody else we met with the PR people we like talk to and stuff like that. They're just such fucking awesome people. I know the game industry can be toxic and stuff like that, but there's so many great people who work in it. And just meeting these people, getting to know them, is like I know where I want to be now too. I know what I want to do. Well, I don't know exactly what I want to do. I know where I want to aim towards, but I know where I think I'm going to end up. So,
yeah, Brian, I think Brian and Brad might find this most amusing. Steven might as well. My favorite thing of the last 6 months to a year is in the last 6 months to a year, I've been really interested in working in PR and public relations and marketing and stuff like that. And I don't remember what it was, but it was some conversation with Justin. It may have actually been the podcast with him where I made some comment about what PR does. And he's like, wait, that's what PR does? That's exactly what I want to do. And Justin just said, I was like, I want to do PR. And that's a statement that if I imagine Justin stating 6 years ago, I would have been like, not that you've been bad at it, but I couldn't imagine you wanting to do that as more.
No, because like I keep mentioning, like my favorite job I ever had, not the greatest job I ever had, was like I was a starting member at GameStop when I actually started talking to people and helping them find the games they wanted to play and just talk up stuff I enjoy and hear what other people enjoy. But now I can actually talk to the people who create these things to see how excited they are about what they made, and then like I played it. I'm like, holy crap. Yeah, I played this game. You made this game. Holy crap. Stuff like that. When you take it all back, it's so mind-blowing. And as you could clearly tell, I can't put it into words.
How can you?
Yeah, it's an incredible experience. And it's one of those things like you just don't realize, so you sit back and look at it like, holy crap. We've done all this. I have checked so much off my like gaming bucket list. I never thought I would have.
Right on.
Sorry, I got a little emotional there.
Sorry.
Have we hit everyone for that question?
And then Brad,
your turn.
Brad went.
Yeah.
I went.
You went. Brad?
Yeah, no, it's we've all been like so
forgot that I
long-winded in
went.
each of our
Fuck.
things.
Well, that's
No,
the
it's
problem with it. That's the problem with all the people I've befriended over the years and then constantly calibrating with is I think we're all pretty long-winded people overall.
we have opinions.
So it's just like, I mean, I'm a monster, but it's with how long I talk, but still, that's how we all kind of are with stuff. So it's we go on for a while. That's the weird thing about the show. I think we've hit 3 topics in almost 2.5 hours, which I think, unless there's anything else we want to hit, I think we kind of should start hitting.
We should hit the hay.
I think we should hit the hay.
I also want to start this podcast with Stephen. How you doing?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah?
Good.
We're just gonna focus.
Good.
Thank you for the answer you were waiting for.
Yeah. So Justin's waiting your 2.5 hours at. Good. No, I think
Observation.
observation.
Huh.
We can now probably play, I'll say 6, but probably even 3 degrees of separation to anybody in the industry.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
You guys more so than me anymore.
If
but
it's Justin and myself, again, I swear not to be cocky, I can actually go 2 degrees on nearly. I know Kyle Gatto. I know everyone in the
Yeah, it's true too.
He knows literally everyone in the industry, so I'm always
Which is still the most frustrating thing about constantly calibrating. Holy fuck. Like, we don't have the numbers, but God, we have better connections than most people I know in the industry.
Well, Justin, did you identify strongly with the Khalif said in the last episode? It's like, if you look at our numbers, there's nothing justifying it, but the people we've had on the show show that we're a far bigger show than we actually are on paper. And I just sat there listening to him say this, and I'm like, yep.
Yeah, and then like they say this, I'm like, but I still fucking pay to do it. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, I mean that's the nature of it. That's the nature of these kind of things. And we're also working in an oversaturated market and doing these kind of things. So, but I mean, that's I consider that a perk at this point. The people I get to meet and talk to.
Like,
but,
it doesn't matter if hopefully not put Crash to Burn tomorrow, but I don't regret anything.
Oh, this is the last
done.
episode of Constantly Calibrating. Did I forget to mention that at the start of the... Well, actually, that's the fun thing. At the beginning of this year, 300 was supposed to be the last episode because I was so fucking burnt out that we went on hiatus. But yeah, no, it'll be around for a bit.
you know, we're constantly calibrating.
I mean, I literally have like episodes 301, 302, and 303.
That's why I say, like, Steve
booked.
yourself could not have picked a better name because we have lived up to it.
Again, yeah, as was said earlier. No, we've lived up to that. Here's a question for you, Steven. I legitimately don't know if you remember who came up with the name. Do you remember if it was Yumi or Charnel? Because I can't. I have no memory.
Garrus Vakarian came up with the name,
There you go.
obviously.
Perfect answer.
There we go.
Leave it to fucking Steven to come up with the most diplomatic, perfect fucking answer. People ask me every now and again, and like, I don't want to take false credit.
It's been 7 years.
Who gives a shit?
The answer is yes.
Yes, the answer is yes. But people ask me every now and again who came up with that name, and I'm just like,
But if no one's claiming it, then like
Yeah.
I'll take credit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey.
I think it was literally the story I tell people is the story that I vaguely remember is that we were in the middle or we were filming the second episode somewhere around that second episode, and we're like, we don't have a name for this and we want to put this first episode out soon kind of thing. We've just been kind of recording, and we only recorded a second episode because we were talking about Mass Effect 3 and then the ending controversy happened. They were like, well shit, let's just record another episode like 2-3 days later kind of thing. And we're both just like, I think it was just like, I from what I remember, we were both just talking like, what's some fun quotes? Like, what's some fun things? And we both said calibrations at the same time kind of thing. And I think just constantly calibrating just like came, I don't remember who said it and I don't personally care that much, but,
Also, for taking it back, shout out to Marauder Shields.
Yeah.
Fucking Marauder goddamn Shields. One of the first friends I made out of this podcast was the guy who ran the Marauder Shields comic, which he and I were supposed to start working on webcomics, and then he disappeared off the face of the fucking earth. But he was a wonderful guy and a lovely human and came up with a really awesome comic with a great art style. No, I think I was going to say to just wrap this up before I do before I let anyone plug whatever they want to plug and then go to outros, is just like, thank you to you four. Thank you to Ryan. Thank you to Blake. Thank you to Chris even. Thank you to every person who's been part of Constantly Calibrating, who's been part of this show, who's been part of this brand, whether you directly influenced it, whether you're a person who gave Constantly Calibrating a little PR nudge here and there, whether you are a person who gave us an interview, whether you really shouldn't have. I've, thrown out to Brad Johnson from Fonz PR plenty of times where I'm like, literally is the reason we exist exist in the capacity we are now because he gave us that opportunity. And it's funny, I now work in PR and I'm like, yeah, he was just throwing things out to the indie creators. I thought it was like some, but it still mattered, even if in his mind, he was just trying to get anyone to pay attention to Rooster Teeth in a time nobody was. For me, it ended up being this massive moment. And just shout out just to like literally every person along the steps of the ways who, have given me advice, have given Justin advice, have given any of us advice or talked to us. Thank you for allowing me and to helping me to build this into what it's become and build me into the better person. And most importantly, thank you to Steven.
Oh,
because I love everyone else here, but it may have screwed up our friendship a little bit doing this whole kind of thing, but I literally would not become a better person without constantly calibrating, and you are responsible for helping me do that. And I'm trying not to get emotional. Really hard, trying not to.
Get emotional.
But no, it's this wouldn't have existed if you didn't listen to your socially awkward, broken friend and say, yeah, let's do a fucking podcast about a video game. Yeah. And then kind of honestly led the show pretty much for 20 fucking episodes before I actually kind of started getting some feet under me and a bigger head than I needed.
It couldn't get much bigger.
Fuck off, Justin.
Hey, he can't help it, okay?
Shade.
We do it because we love you.
I know. No, so just an overall thank you. It's just been it's been a wonderful ride, and again, I don't know if this show is gonna last, and this is gonna last 5 more episodes, 10 more episodes, 300 more episodes. I got nothing planned. My dream, I've said for years. It's what I said talking to Khalif last week. It's what I say all the time. My only goal at this point is to help people who don't have a voice or don't know how to talk about my problems, talk about stuff, and just let people know they're not alone in this world kind of thing. And then also just for new creators and new people like stuff like that, they just give them some kind of leg up, help them understand how to talk to PR, help them understand how to talk to game developers, help them entertainment, whatever, talk to themselves, like whatever minor fucking thing that we can have on people. That's all I give a shit about at this point, whether this could crash and burn tomorrow and I'd still be happy.
Yeah, I think one to many is always like the best way to go. Yeah, for sure.
So overall, just thank you to everyone out there. I am barely fucking holding it together. So yeah. If anyone has things that they would like to plug, I know most of us work on stuff here and stuff like that, but if there's anything, please do it now. Otherwise, I'll slip into the outro, so to speak.
All right.
Kitty.
Does anybody have anything before I do mine?
No.
Okay.
Catch all tomorrow, Wednesday. That's all I got.
Yeah, Justin's gonna say listen to the Catch All podcast and listen to the S-Rank Support podcast, because
that too.
If he drinks, he shouts out those regardless of where he's at.
Amen. But so for myself, you can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Otter Nonsense, and that is Otter Nonsenz, because nonsense was taken, those bastards. And this all started because I was like, I can stream in my Otter onesie, and I still haven't streamed yet because every place I go, my internet is shit. And I'm just about to pay for gig speeds.
Luigi Wednesday?
Oh yeah. And so and that's also where I'm at on Mixer as well. And if you want to play Rocket League or other things with me on Xbox Live, I'm also Otter Nonsense there as well. And then and hopefully you might be seeing me around some of this stuff more if they'll let me.
Everyone here has an infinite welcome back for literally anything you can conceive of.
Okay, so I'll be back here. You'll see me.
You'll be back. I literally am trying to launch a couch co-op show. I just have not had the time to actually fucking finish this office to do it. You will be invited back.
Yay.
100%. And again, for people who know, Justin and I did a show about 10 episodes ago. Every 10 episodes, I'm going to do an episode with people. This is that episode where people come back. We're going to do solo episodes. I'll do one with Ryan. I'll do one with Brad, with Brian, with Steven, Blake, who literally, if you've been a part of Constantly Calibrating in any way, shape, or form, we will do some way too deep of a dive, probably episode.
Hell yeah. That's always fun.
So, and just kind of like one of those see where it goes things, which is essentially what this was. So, yeah.
And it went well.
If nobody else is shouting stuff out, and please feel free to interrupt me if you want to.
I will do one last thing.
Motherfucker.
I'm sorry. Of course it's going to be me.
Of course it's me.
And just because I'm the audio editor on it, please, if you are a medical patient, or you want to know more about cannabis, please follow Cannabis Quest HQ on Instagram, I believe. And Cannabis Quest HQ is the website. You can grab their podcast there. They do one a month, and it's all patient education, and it's hosted by my fiance, Courtney Lovejoy, and her co-worker friend, Hunter Glasner. They're fantastic, very well informed, and it's some good stuff. So
it's not legal here yet.
The East Coast, is lagging, but
CBD.
Everywhere, it's crazy. But that's for another podcast.
That's a whole other discussion. I thought I had a joke in there. Nothing came through. But thank you all for joining us this week. The Constantly Calibrating Podcast is live every Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. East. 5:30. Took 2.5 hours for me to fuck up. Is live every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on mixer.com/ConCalPod. Next week, we are going to be joined by shotcall.gg, some of the guys from there, to talk about all of their stuff. And yeah, please join us for that. We are on Facebook, facebook.com/Constantly Calibrating, Twitter at ConCalPod. I'm at Bear Punch. Justin's at Justin_Glorious. Justin is at OG Xanos. Brian is at
Brad.
Otter Nonsense.
Is it? Yeah, Otter Nonsense. I think you're Brian McDaniel.
Hold on, I just want to bring it back up. You call Brad Justin, and it's fantastic.
On Twitter, I might have switched it. It's either Brian_McDaniel. It might still be.
Yeah, I think that's what you are. And Steven has used Twitter, but he's still Darth Sir in my heart.
Yeah. It's still active.
It's still active, and I still tweet things about him every now and again.
And it pops up in my email inbox.
There you go. I still get emails about Armbar and Issue Zero every fucking day asking why I don't tweet. It's like, because I don't know the login to delete this account.
Also, the correct one for me is Brian McDaniel _.
That's what I thought it was, Brian McDaniel _ Okay. So check Instagram at instagram.com/Constantly Calibrating. Come chat with us on our Discord at constantlycalibrating.com/Discord. And just in general, if you enjoyed the show or have enjoyed the show at any point over 300 episodes, please make sure you leave us a review. Even though the show's been around for a long time, reviews help more than I can possibly explain. Mm-hmm. Wherever you're able to, iTunes obviously being the best option, but we're on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, literally every I think
Stitcher.
Stitcher. The only place I'm waiting on right now is Pandora, which it's a 2-month turnaround to find out if you get rejected or accepted. So
we all know.
I think at this point, every podcast that Constantly Calibrating does is everywhere.
We're on the green one.
The green one?
Yeah. I can't remember his name right. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, we're on Spotify.
Cool.
Yeah, all 3 active podcasts are on Spotify.
I was thinking Green Man Gaming. I'm like, oh, that's a throwback.
ConstantlyCalibrating.com/GreenManGaming. I am a whore at always for ads and stuff like that. We don't really do much of that anymore, but because I don't want to waste people's fucking time. But yeah, with that, thank you all for joining for episode 300. I bid you all a good sign off.
Schmeggy!